This is the NBC Television Network.
In this winter's tale, it's January that turns out to be the cruelest month. They leave Nebraska's frosted cornfields, always imposing, always highly ranked, but destined, it has seemed, for disappointment. He has these winters in his blood, the native son who never left, who in another time was twice the state's athlete of the year, a marvel who competed for his small hometown college. Tom Osborne, 22 seasons, 218 victories, 11 conference titles, but still bearing with serene dignity the January memories. Memories of hot, humid nights in Miami, when it was all or nothing, in a stadium a long, long way from home.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
In 1984, there was honor in defeat. 10 years later, redemption was just one play away.
45 yards to give Cinderella, Nebraska the national championship. And he hooked and left. Florida State wins.
And though decades of success have been somehow diminished by a series of New Year's failings, the resolve remains. And now, even beyond the heartland, you sense he is, for most, the sentimental choice.
I don't think there's any room for compassion. I mean, we're playing a football game, and if he wasn't playing us for the national championship, I'd root for him.
To Tom Osborne, this is a familiar face of January, the face of another fierce Miami team, at home in the Orange Bowl, and prepared to deny the Cornhuskers a national title. Or is this finally the night when Nebraska's proud native son brings to an end his long New Year's nightmare? Balmy winter's night, you might call it hurricane weather. Tonight, in their home stadium, the Orange Bowl, where they have won 62 of their last 63 games, the number 3 Miami Hurricanes beat number 1 and undefeated Nebraska, seeking to become college football's national champions. It's another sellout of 78,000 for this 61st Orange Bowl game, and although the Nebraska Cornhuskers may have one of their finest teams ever, and though you'll see plenty of Nebraska supporters clad in red tonight, this is still their formidable task. To win here, in this Miami sound machine, where the Hurricanes have lost only once since 1985, and but for a single bad quarter against Washington back in September, the Hurricanes would themselves be undefeated and poised to win their 5th national title in 12 seasons. As it is, Miami does have a slim chance to win the title, but the Canes must beat the Cornhuskers tonight and hope that somehow number 2 Penn State loses to Oregon in tomorrow's Rose Bowl. Only Nebraska can get by without any help. If they win tonight, they're the champs, no matter what happens anywhere else. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Happy New Year to you. These are the trophies signifying an Orange Bowl victory and the national title, both at stake tonight. Nebraska is seeking its first national title since the Johnny Rodgers team of 1971, and the first in Tom Osborne's 22-year tenure, an otherwise magnificent tenure diminished by New Year's Day and night setbacks. Osborne's teams have now lost 7 straight bowl games, including the last 3 Orange Bowls, and tonight the opponent is Miami at home. Miami 3-0 against Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. To get it done, Nebraska's Osborne has reinstalled Tommy Frazier as his starting quarterback. The option specialist began the year as a Heisman candidate, but he hasn't played since September 24th, stricken with blood clots in his right leg. The decision to start Frazier over Brooke Berringer, who played well in Frazier's absence, has already been second-guessed. But Tom Osborne has long since become accustomed to the scrutiny and criticism that comes with the territory. 22 seasons of excellence, icon status in his home state, yet he has never made himself larger than his team. Guarded, stoic, we probably know Tom Osborne best, not from his words, but from a moment, a defining moment, the 1984 Orange Bowl.
Look at this play, Jeff Smith. Touchdown, Nebraska!
Choosing victory over a tie, attempting a two-point conversion. His boldness cost him the national title. And now, perhaps another defining moment. This week, choosing Tommy Frazier as his starting quarterback.
Find any irony in the fact that it's easy to label you as conservative, but you're the guy who went for two when a tie assured you of the national championship. You're the guy who's rolling the dice now with Frazier.
Well, I don't know, Bob. I don't really think in terms of image and those kind of things. I just think in terms of what I feel needs to be done. And nobody wants to focus on who's playing tackle or who's playing safety. And those spots are every bit as critical as quarterback. I'm very comfortable with our quarterbacks. They're going to play okay. I'm a little bit more worried about some other spots.
You know what the long-standing observations or criticisms are. Schedule's not tough enough outside of Oklahoma and in recent years Colorado. Philosophy's too conservative. Run the ball between the tackles, win the Big 8 title, run up against competition you can't handle on New Year's Day. Has any of that been fair?
Oh, I'm sure whatever's fair, whatever people say. I don't care what they say. And all I know is that we've got a certain climate to play in. We have a certain schedule that's usually set 6, 7, 8 years in advance. And we think that in our climactic situation, you've got to be prepared to handle 2 or 3 bad weather days. On the other hand, maybe Miami, if they had to play January 1st in Lincoln or in Omaha, might find that their style wouldn't fit quite as well either.
Here's a quote from a week or so ago in the New York Times. No one ever predicts a derailing loss, but many wonder if it is their destiny. You're a practical man, but have you ever wondered if that's your destiny?
Well, I really have never thought that way. We lost Oklahoma the first 5 or 6 times that I think that I was a head coach and played him. But I didn't feel like we were always going to lose to Oklahoma. We just tried to work harder and get better. And we lost pretty badly to Florida State a couple times and Miami a couple times. And we worked hard and we got better. And I think last year we played well enough to win.
I asked Bobby Bowden this a year ago, and he tried to put it in perspective. He said the world wouldn't end, but when I asked him, would your resume be incomplete if you never got a national championship? He said yes. How about you?
Well, I don't think so. I think in the eyes of a lot of people, that would be the case. But I really don't tend to measure success or whatever I've accomplished or haven't accomplished in football so much in wins and losses. I think when you die, they always say, well, he won so many, he lost so many, he won so many national championships, or he didn't. And yet I think that's kind of a hollow way to look at it.
Do you feel a kinship at all with guys like Marv Levy, Bud Grant? Great coaches. Grant's in the Hall of Fame. Levy's probably going there. Did everything but win the Super Bowl. Similar position to, at least at this moment, where you are.
Well, I don't know if I feel a kinship, Bob, but I never cease to be amazed at the mentality that the Minnesota Vikings were losers or that the Buffalo Bills are losers. It's kind of an interesting commentary on our society. It's kind of like if you're not number one, you're nothing. I mean, to win 12 games, to go through what our players have gone through this year, I admire them greatly. I don't necessarily admire me as a coach. I admire what the players have done in terms of their commitment, their devotion, and their determination to get back down here and to try it again.
In our interview, Osborne also said he supported some form of college football playoff. The present Bowl Coalition and upcoming Bowl Alliance have improved the chances of crowning a true national champ, but they are at best imperfect. This year's top teams being a perfect example, as both Nebraska and Penn State could wind up undefeated and yet never meet on the field. Said Osborne, we've gotten so conscious of payoffs and money, we've almost sold our souls. There should be some way to get it done. Coming up, a tale of three quarterbacks. Nebraska's Tommy Frazier is one. He's back as the starter tonight. And then there's backup Brooke Berringer, 7-0 in relief. And the forgotten man in all of this, Miami's Frank Costa. We'll return to the Orange Bowl after this.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
That was how Miami won its first national title, the fingertips of Kenny Calhoun preventing Nebraska's two-point conversion. The 1988 Orange Bowl had future NFL notable Steve Walsh connecting with Michael Irvin, and Jimmy Johnson taking a national title from Oklahoma's Barry Switzer. In '92, behind Heisman Trophy winner Gino Torretta, Miami won its fourth national title in 9 years, its second for Dennis Erickson, with a shutout victory over Nebraska. It should be noted now that Miami's reputation for invincibility here was momentarily rocked earlier this season. A home winning streak that had reached an NCAA record 58 games was halted in September by the Washington Huskies. Tonight, Miami faces a much better team, a Nebraska team with increased speed and aggressiveness on defense, and a team that lost its starting quarterback early and won anyway. Now Tommy Frazier is back in charge with his proven replacement, Brooke Berringer, available for quick relief.
People said that having two quarterbacks in there going in and out, it might hurt the offensive scheme. But I don't think in our case it will, because we both do something different.
We may have different strengths as far as running and throwing football, but I think we're both capable of running the entire Nebraska offense, and that's all you can ask out of each of us.
The question here isn't competence. It's Osborne's intuition. It was Berringer who guided the Cornhuskers back to the big show. So why entrust the team to a player who hasn't taken a snap in a game since September 24th?
Tommy hadn't played in about 9 games, I think. I think he's ready to take on offense like that, isn't he? After missing 9 games, the option is all timing. So if he's gotten his timing back in the last 2 weeks, then put him in there.
Tommy's been practicing for 2 months. He's just been on blood thinners, so we couldn't have major contact. But as far as being full speed, running, and executing our offense, he's been doing it all the time. So it isn't like he's rusty or he's stale.
Also, Frazier has been here before. At last year's Orange Bowl, he excelled. 283 yards of total offense against Florida State, as Nebraska came within 2 points of the national title. This year began with legitimate Heisman aspirations for Frazier, but then he was suddenly sidelined by blood clots in his right leg. Still, he stayed in shape, hoping.
All the hard work that I put in, it paid off in no way that I was just out there working hard for nothing. It's like you have a job and you go work for nothing. That's the way I felt.
And I hate to get it this way, but it's been a great opportunity for me to get out and show what I can do and prove to my coaches and teammates that I was a capable player.
Capable and gutsy. Berringer played part of this season with a collapsed lung. His reward is now unclear.
I'm not really sure how much difference it's going to make who comes in when or why. You know, hopefully that everybody will be mentally prepared enough to play that it's really not going to make a whole lot of difference who's in, where, and when.
I bring excitement, big play capability, something that I always brought to the offense since I've been started as a freshman.
We come in and play 4-3 defense with our coverage behind us, and we're going to line up and play ball. It doesn't matter who they stick back there. It doesn't matter to us.
All right, joining us now, our game analyst, Chris Collinsworth. He'll have the call along with Tom Hammond. Agree or disagree with Tom Osborne's decision?
Absolutely agree 100%. You know, Tommy Frazier reminds me of you a little bit. Neither one of you worked that much during football season, but now for the national championship game, it's time for the stars to come out.
You know, an excellent analogy, and on that basis, I am sure the young man will excel.
Thank you very much. But you have to go back to what happened last year in this Orange Bowl game. Play for play against Charlie Ward. Tommy Frazier was there, was making the plays, and I think he's going to do the same things tonight.
All right, let's get the thoughts of our sideline reporter, John Dockery, who's down there watching the clubs warm up. Doc?
Thank you, Bob. I talked to Tommy Frazier a little while ago, and he said he's absolutely relaxed, focused, feeling no after effects from the blood clot problem. I also talked to the quarterback coach, Turner Gill, from Nebraska, and he said, hey, Frazier will start. He's 100%. He's fine, no problem, but that we would definitely see Brooke Berringer in the first half, probably in the first quarter. That's it from the field, Bob. Back to you.
Thanks, John. Well, it is an unusual situation when you have a Miami game and the focus is not on the Miami quarterback. After all, 5 of the school's recent alumni at the position are now playing in the NFL. Frank Costa is the current starter. He's had a stormy career with the Hurricanes, in part because he's been battered by unreasonable expectations.
This year I can care less what a fan will say. I can care less what a newspaper reporter says. I can care less what a radio person says. I really don't care. They could say whatever they want about me. As long as we win football games, that's all that matters.
At Miami, winning and winning big is expected. Last season, after a loss to rival Florida State in Game 5, a large measure of the blame was dumped on the team's junior quarterback. He was ripped on the radio and by Miami's vocal football alumni. Frank Costa wound up being benched, and sophomore Ryan Collins replaced him for the remainder of an unspectacular year. The anger of 1993 is still evident.
But I wasn't real happy with my situation, and, that wasn't very happy with what happened to me. So, really, there were some negative thoughts toward Coach Erickson, the coaching staff, and the players, and the city of Miami, really, because it seemed like everything was just coming down on me.
Such is the price of failure, real or perceived, and the level of expectation at Miami, where notable predecessors include Jim Kelly and Bernie Kosar, who took the Canes to their first national title, and Vinny Testaverde, the 1986 Heisman Trophy winner.
It'd be nice to be mentioned in the same breath with those guys because they're great players, but I know all those guys, and they're human beings just like me, and I can't control football. That's something that the public's going to do, and they're going to group me however they want to group me. And if you do win a national championship, people are going to respect you. If you don't, then they're going to, bash you apart and rip you apart. This game's going to, tell a lot of where I stand in the history of the Miami quarterbacks.
Although he may not measure up to some of his predecessors at Miami, Costa is still a better passer than either Nebraska's Frazier or Berringer, and he could very well deliver a big game tonight. Now, late yesterday, Tom Osborne injected another element into the Nebraska quarterback debate. Call it the elephant equation. 5 elephants appearing in tonight's halftime show. There are the plodding and pungent pachyderms. Well, they tore up parts of the field in rehearsal on Friday. Osborne, somewhat miffed, said if the elephant tracks were too deep, he might have to play the taller Berringer over Frazier. Of course, if the big fellas leave a calling card or two, then Frazier's agility might prove useful. Back after this. We're moments away from the start of the 61st Orange Bowl, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Their coach, Tom Osborne, his arms folded serenely, it seems, as he awaits the charge onto the field. A magnificent coaching career for him. Only a national title missing from his resume. The Cornhuskers last won the national crown when they did it back in the early 70s under Bob Devaney. Field, Nebraska would be the clear favorite, as good as Miami is. Here, they are the slimmest of choices. A point, maybe a point and a half prior to kickoff. Tommy Frazier hasn't played since September 24th. Blood clots in his right leg. He's received medical clearance. Brooke Berringer, as you heard John Dockery say, he will play, may very well play in the first quarter. 7-0 in relief. If he had had a few more passing attempts, he would have qualified for a national ranking in passing efficiency, and he would have ranked as high as 7th. And the Miami Hurricanes lost here to Washington as a result of one bad quarter, the third quarter, back in September, also September 24th, as a matter of fact. That's their only loss on this field since 1985. Dennis Erickson could win his 3rd national title if things break right. It would be his 3rd in a 6-year tenure. He says he's staying. Our Will McDonough says take seriously the talk that he could be headed to Seattle and the Seahawks. For sure you can believe the talk that we're headed upstairs to the booth, and our announcers Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth. Tom.
All right, thank you, Bob, and Happy New Year, everybody. You know, Chris, we've heard from the coaches, from the quarterbacks, but there's a matchup in this game I think will be crucial to its outcome. It involves the Nebraska offensive line, led by Zach Wiegert, who is the Outland Trophy winner at right tackle. This is a huge line, bigger than some NFL offensive lines, helping the Cornhuskers to the best rushing attack in the nation, 340 yards a game. But they'll be meeting a Miami defense that is the best in college football, giving up just 220 yards total offense a game. And the strength of the Miami defense is right up front in the person of Warren Sapp, the Lombardi Trophy winner. His coach Dennis Erickson says he can dominate a game much like Hurricane defensive line greats of the past like Russell Maryland and Cortez Kennedy. And he can be pretty aggressive too. I thought he was going to come after you when you asked him if Nebraska could run the ball on Miami.
Yeah, when you stood up to run, I think you actually scared him back in his seat, and I want to thank you for that. But it's interesting, when we were talking to Zach Wiegert, the great offensive lineman from Nebraska, he said, you know, we just want to play a physical football game with these guys. Get our body on them, try and push them around, find out who the better man is. And this is a great team to do it against the Miami Hurricanes. They'll just sit there in that 4-3 defense. They're not going to run. They're not going to hide. It'll be one of those matchups. We'll find out who the better man is.
Now, there's one other unit we haven't mentioned, and we should. The Nebraska defense, highly rated, and a different Nebraska defense than we've seen in the past.
Absolutely. This is a defense built around speed, especially at the cornerback position. These guys in the past, especially last year against FSU in that Orange Bowl game, proved that they can go against the very best receivers in the country. And even when they got off the line of scrimmage, Baron Miles and Tyrone Williams able to stay right with these guys. We expect that same kind of matchup this evening.
And there is a look at Dennis Erickson. He says that he will listen to potential NFL offers after this game. And Tom Osborne, 3 times he has played for a national championship. How many more times will he have the chance? Miami wins the toss, defers to the second half. Nebraska will receive for the national title. Taken at the goal line by Benning. And he's wrestled down at the 15-yard line by Jeffrey Taylor after a 15-yard return. And that Miami defense is pumped up. So Tommy Frazier ready for his first snap in game conditions in 98 days.
16-yard return.
There was a Miami player shaken up, Kevin Brinkworth.
First and 10, Nebraska.
On the Nebraska sideline. Backup quarterback Brooke Behringer. He was disappointed he didn't start the game. Tom Osborne's decision, but he says he knows he'll play and play well. The familiar I formation. The I back is Lawrence Phillips. Phillips, a gain of 5 to the 20-yard line. Let's take a look at the starting offensive lineup now for Nebraska. This could be the best Nebraska offensive line ever in a last-minute switch. Wilkes goes to right guard. All-American Brendan Stye takes over at left guard opposite Warren Sapp. Frazier, MVP last year's Orange Bowl. Phillips rushed for 1,700 yards. 3rd in the nation. Muhammad, the top receiver. Frazier may be changing the play and calls timeout. Is that rustiness on the part of quarterback Tommy Frazier? Some confusion, Chris.
You know, Tom, so much emotion to start this game, and for Tommy Frazier, it's almost like the beginning of the season. Here's a guy that has not played since early this ball in the season, about 4 weeks into it. But this is a Nebraska offense that I feel like really has to prove something. That when they played here the last couple of times in the Orange Bowl 6 years ago, they were held to just 3 points and 135 yards of total offense. That's still the lowest total offense that a Tom Osborne team has ever had in his 22 years. 3 years ago in the Orange Bowl against Miami, the Huskers were shut out for the first time in 18 years and only 171 yards, and that one the second lowest output for a Tom Osborne team. So this is a football team, and this is an offense from Nebraska that really has to be able to prove that they can do anything against this Miami defense.
While we have a moment, let's set the starting defensive unit for the Hurricanes. #1 defense in the nation, and Holmes could be the next Cane defensive star. Sapp has a year of eligibility left, but he could turn pro. The linebacker Lewis had 152 tackles, third highest Miami total ever. And All-American C.J. Richardson leads the secondary. I don't know if the crowd noise at this end of the stadium might have bothered Nebraska. They practiced here all week with the speakers blaring at full volume, but they had to burn a timeout. Second down play. The up back, Schlesinger, got only a couple of yards before Ray Lewis, the middle linebacker and leading tackler for the Canes, made the stop. It'll bring up third down.
I was talking to Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator for Miami, just before the ball game, and he said, we are going to force Tommy Frazier to throw the football. We are going to find out if, in fact, he can beat us throwing the football. We're going to line up and play the run on every snap of the ball until he proves he can throw it against us.
3 wide receiver formation on 3rd and 3. Muhammad, Holbein, and Ball, the wide receivers. Holbein in motion. Frazier still has it, a play-action pass. Plenty of time. He rifles it incomplete. 2 wide for the diving Brendan Holbein, and Nebraska will have to punt on its first possession.
Intended for Holbein.
Looked like Tommy Frazier had a chance to hit Holbein. He tried to throw a line shot to him instead of just letting a little air under it so that Holbein could run underneath it. At least so far, Greg McMackin's strategy is paying off. First down, second down runs, try and throw it on third down.
That's Jamie German awaiting the Darren Erstad punt. End over end, and not a very high kick. Takes a bounce and is down at about the 42-yard line. Only a 36-yard punt. Excellent field position for the Hurricanes on their first possession. So Frank Costa getting some last-minute instructions before he leads this Hurricane offensive unit. We're not used to the offensive unit of the Hurricanes being inconsistent as this one has been, but they are capable of some big numbers. First down, spot the ball at the Miami 42. First possession for the Canes, scoreless first quarter. Costa straight back, first down pass, incomplete. Short hopped his intended receiver, Jonathan Harris.
The pass is incomplete. Intended for Harris.
So Costa perhaps a little jittery.
For Nebraska.
And there really was the key matchup, Tom. Jonathan Harris, they feel like they don't have any safety on the Nebraska defense that can cover Jonathan Harris. They have fine corners on the outside, but Miami really feels that if they can get Jonathan Harris matched up on Beelan or Ed Stewart or one of the linebackers, they'll win that battle every time.
3 wide receiver formation, 2nd and 10. Hand off to Stewart. Jane Stewart crosses the 45 to about the 47-yard line, where he is stopped by Veland. Miami lines up this way offensively. That offensive line keyed by unanimous All-Big East center Casey Jones. The line positions vary according to formation. Weak side away from the tight end, strong side with the tight end. Costa passed for 2,400 yards this season. Stewart the top rusher, Chris T. Jones leading receiver. It's a 5 wide receiver formation here. This is a situation Nebraska in the past has shown blitz. From the gun. Costa's pass complete to Tellison. Knocked out of bounds in Nebraska territory at the 43 by linebacker Ed Stewart. There's that running back on linebacker matchup again. Good for 9 yards.
Anytime you're trying to play safeties and outside linebackers against wide receivers, a very difficult matchup. Ed Stewart is an outside linebacker. Now, he's a former defensive back. They feel like that they can cover people inside, but one of the reasons that Stewart was moved to linebacker was his inability to play man-to-man coverage. He is going to be under the gun all night tonight.
First down, Miami. Wide open. Pass taken by Chris T. Jones for a gain of about 7 yards before Baron Miles recovers to knock him out of bounds. This Nebraska defense ranks second to Miami in scoring defense nationally. Christian Peter leads the team with 7 sacks. Connolly has 6.5. Keneally, senior weak side linebacker Ed Stewart, we've talked about him. He does lead the Huskers in tackles. And cornerback Baron Miles, who made that last hit, had 5 interceptions to lead the Big 8 Conference. 2nd and 3. 3 wides, bottom of the screen. Tellison in the slot. Flags down. It looked like maybe Ricky Perry.
Penalty flags are down.
Might have come a little prematurely across the line. Let's see.
One thing I never did on the football field, take my helmet off, especially when a fight was starting.
I usually notice you going the other way when that fight started.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Penalty is false start.
Nebraska was setting up to come with a blitz. Number 32, Ed Stewart, started to move in there, and they were in man coverage. I'll tell you one thing for this Nebraska defense, they're not afraid. They've been playing man coverage throughout the start of this game.
From the Nebraska
this is a Big Ten officiating crew tonight. Ron Winter, the referee, a professor at Western Michigan University from Kalamazoo. Now 2nd and 8. Costa hands off. Stewart breaking tackles, almost got away. Gains 4 or 5 yards before he's taken down by Dumas and Veland. Here is James Stewart, number 1 rusher, 724 yards on the season, averaging nearly 5 yards a carry. Made 2nd team All Big East.
Boy, what a body he has. 6'3", 245, runs a 4.4. Those are numbers that make pro scouts absolutely drool.
Was 2nd in the Florida State 100 meters back in his days at Vero Beach High School. Harris in motion. Costa wings it complete. Chris T. Jones to the 30-yard line. Miami first down. Gain of 18 yards. Baron Miles on the play, and Miles, regarded as the best cover man in the Nebraska secondary, has been picked on twice by the Canes' leading catcher, Chris T. Jones.
James Stewart, the fullback, is going to make a tremendous block on the blitz pickup. He picks up Ed Stewart. That allows Costa to step up, make the throw, and the big first down. Right now, Nebraska's defensive backfield and their corners, Baron Miles, an excellent corner, is just playing a little bit too conservatively. He's a much better player when he gets up into bump and run, gets a little closer to the receivers.
Just inside the 20, first down Miami, scoreless first quarter. This is the 7th play of the Hurricane drive. Flags down. A couple of Nebraska defensive linemen apparently jumped that time, or were they drawn?
Offside, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Penalty is offside against Nebraska.
Hard count by Costa. And Tom, this game really is starting off in a horrible way for Tom Osborne. They go 3 and out on their first offensive series, and now their defense is on the field, one of the best defenses in the nation, and Miami is taking the ball and moving it right down the field against them.
1st and 5 for the Canes, just inside the 15. Frank Costa has hit 3 of his first 4 passes. Number 5 coming up. Hit as he released it, and it will sail out of bounds incomplete. Pressure on him that time from Phil Ellis, a blitzing linebacker. Pass intended for A.C. Tellison.
Frank Costa told us the other day that he knew he was going to get hit in this game. You can't spread your receivers out this wide and not take a couple of shots. He said, but for every time I get hit, I also know we have the potential for a big play. There's Phil Ellis, the man that anchors this Nebraska defense that has just been terrific this year.
Opponents inside the 20 this season. And the Canes up to 15. Play clock to 1. Got it off. Stewart can't get outside. Dropped for a loss by the Nebraska defense, led by Tony Veland, the safety, who came up in a hurry for run support.
Veland on the tackle for Nebraska.
Tony Veland, a former quarterback who's really had so many injuries in his career, to the collarbone, to the knee. He's still not running 100%. Didn't even play safety until the fall practice this year, but he has been a dynamic force. Their coaches tell me that next year, when his speed gets back to 100% and that knee is feeling good again, he will unquestionably be a pro prospect.
The junior from Omaha actually was the #1 quarterback at one point in Nebraska before switching over to the D. On the 9th play, it's 3rd and long. A crossing pattern complete to Jones. Flag down as Chris T. Jones is all the way to the 8-yard line. If it stands, it'll be enough for a first down. Veland and Moss, the safeties, tackling Jones after making his 3rd reception if it stands. It will not.
On the tackle for Nebraska. Flags are down.
Dennis Erickson saying that after the Fiesta Bowl debacle of a year ago, he spoke individually with each returning player, laying the foundation for this year's return to prominence and a chance at the national championship. He has said he's staying at Miami, but told us he would listen to other offers after this bowl game.
That's it. Offense. A 15-yard penalty spot. Repeat 3rd down.
15-yard penalty for offensive pass interference.
I think they're calling this on Gerard Daphnis, coming in with a pick right here and allows the receiver at the top of the screen to come work underneath him. Don't really agree with the call. I don't think that was in any way an intentional pick. It was basically his own defense. There is nobody to pick.
Ball is against Miami. 3rd and...
Well, the call did go against the Canes, and it puts the ball back at the 34-yard line. Now 3rd and 24. Quarterback draw. Costa dives to the 25-yard line, well short of the first down. It'll be 4th down. It was a gain of 8 on the quarterback draw by Frank Costa.
But Tom, I thought it was really a smart play that time by Frank Costa. They needed about 10 yards in order to put their team in field goal position. Doesn't matter if you throw it, run it, whatever. Looked like Frank Costa had it in his mind to try and find an opening and get that thing in field goal range, and that's exactly what he's able to do.
So Dane Pruitt is on to attempt a 44-yard field goal. He's hit 13 of 14 this season. Baron Miles, the blocking specialist for Nebraska. Miles didn't get there. Pruitt's kick is good. Dane Pruitt with a 44-yard field goal, capping Miami's first possession of the game. And the Canes go up on Nebraska 3-0.
The FedEx Orange Bowl is brought to you by FedEx. For documents, packages, and freight worldwide, our most important package is yours. By Bud Bowl 7. This year, it's going to be a whole new ball game. By the IBM Corporation. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Welcome back to the FedEx Orange Bowl, where Miami coach Dennis Erickson continued to argue with the officials over the offensive interference call that kept him from having a 1st and goal and eventually made him settle for the field goal instead. 7:54 left in the opening quarter, 3-0 Miami. That was Pruitt's longest field goal of the year, his previous long 38, that one from 44. Pruitt with the kickoff. Taken by Benning.
good return as a late flag comes flying. He's stopped just short of the 25-yard line by Earl Little.
Heading the ball carrier.
Here's our penalty call.
Flags are down.
Against Nebraska. So poor field position once again for the Cornhuskers. It cost them on their first possession. They went 3 and out. The punt only traveled to the 42-yard line of Miami, where they took over, and with a 10-play, 5.5-minute drive, got a field goal.
Hoping on the return tip, penalized hit, it's good foul and foul. First down,
Against Nebraska.
timeout.
So Nebraska backed up deep for Tommy Frazier. He'll try to get it out of there when we come back.
Phil Ellis with the hold, putting his team in horrible field position. Got a handful of jersey, and the officials called it correctly.
So the ball back at the 10-yard line. Their previous possession started from the 12. Poor field position for the Huskers. 2 tight end formation here. Frazier swings the pass complete to Phillips. Phillips puts on a couple of moves, bangs across the 15 to the 16-yard line, where he's hit by Davis and Richardson. Let's go on the sideline, visit him with John Dockery. Doc, what do you have?
Hi, Tom. Just the noise is deafening down here, and it definitely is bothering Nebraska. Caused them to burn a timeout on that first series. I talked to Tom Osborne before the game. Yeah, he said they tried to assimilate it, but you know it's tough to assimilate 70,000 people. He said if it got too loud, that they just would not audibilize, but they've given Frazier a few signals to his wide receivers. But if it's too much, they just won't audibilize.
Second down play. Phillips, nice run. That'll be a Nebraska first down, their initial first down of the game. Phillips first on a pass, then on a run, gets the Nebraska first down. Wilson and Richardson the tackle.
A trap block that just barely got there against Kenny Holmes. Nice job of running inside by Lawrence Phillips. He allowed that trap to take place and then just sort of slide through to pick up the first down.
There's a look at Phillips. John Dockery was talking about the crowd noise. We went to Nebraska practice earlier in the week, and we were outside the practice arena with the speakers blaring to simulate crowd noise. We couldn't even talk. Nice cut up by Phillips. Miami pursuit recovers, still a gain of about 5 before Davis and Lewis converge on Lawrence Phillips. Well, Tommy Frazier at quarterback for the first time in game situations in 98 days. He was a Heisman candidate when the season began, but on September 25th, after swelling and soreness in his knee, a blood clot was discovered. He was treated with anticoagulant drugs, which dissolved the clot. But then he went back to the hospital for a checkup, and they found a vein close to the skin was irritating an artery, so he underwent surgery to tie off that irritant vein and is back able to play tonight off the blood-thinning drugs, though he will go back on them as soon as this game is over. Phillips. Power running by Phillips will get him close to the first down. Looked like he would be stopped short, but he lowered his shoulders and carrying Kennard Lang and others along with him, came up close to the marker.
Lawrence Phillips had 100 yards rushing in every single game this year until last week, or the last game against Oklahoma. Third in the nation, over 1,700 yards. Just a very dynamic offensive player, but this is a Nebraska team. They have to get the running game going, and Tom Osborne knows it. One thing I did like that Tom Osborne did is he came out on that first down play to start this drive and threw it, and now Miami's playing a little guessing game.
It was a first down run. Here's the option. Frazier with a keep. He's to the 40-yard line. So Frazier on the first option play keeps the ball. James Burgess tackles him after a gain of about 8 yards.
Brooke Behringer looking on from the sideline. We asked Tommy Frazier whether or not he would be looking over his shoulder and feeling the pressure that if he didn't get something done immediately, that he would be out of the ball game. He said, absolutely not. I've just got to go out there and do what I do best. If it's not good enough, I'll just take a seat on the bench.
Tommy Frazier from Bradenton, Florida. A lot of family members here to see him play tonight. Childs with his first carry of the game. Stopped by Ray Lewis and stopped after a gain of only a yard or so.
It was interesting, and talking with Tommy Frazier and all the problems that he had as you take a look at Ray Lewis. Tommy Frazier said the most frustrating time that he had was in the hospital. His leg didn't even hurt him. He couldn't even feel any pain in the back of the knee, and yet he was having to undergo surgery and listen to the game on radio. So it was just about enough to kill him.
7th play of the drive. It's 3rd and 1. 5 defensive linemen in for the Canes. Option play. Frazier hit and dropped for a loss. There's a flag down. Frazier hit back at the 35-yard line by linebacker Corwin Francis, the senior from LaPorte, Texas. And Frazier indicating it's against Miami. Offside against the Canes. Big break for Nebraska. It'll give them a 1st down.
Looked to me like Miami just lined up off sides. There really wasn't any movement.
Well, they sent Baraka short onto the field at the last minute, and I don't think he ever really got set. He just came in at the very last moment, and as you said, perhaps lined up in the neutral zone.
Good drive, though, being put together by Tommy Frazier in this Nebraska offense. Really needed a boost of confidence.
First down, Huskers. Hand off to the I-back, Phillips. Lawrence Phillips with another tough run. Nets about 6 yards before Burgess brings him down.
And this is what Nebraska thought they could do. Just take the football and run directly at this Miami defense. You see Warren Sapp trying to run around the block. This is a one-gapping team. They will try to split the gaps, get penetration up the field. But as an offensive line, if you can take that penetration and just move them a little bit, there will be holes, there will be cracks.
And Lawrence Phillips using those holes and cracks to net 6 yards a carry so far. 5 carries, 30 yards. Option. Gave it to the first man, that's Schlesinger, who racks his way to the 40-yard line of Miami and has a 1st down. Well, this offensive line in Nebraska is not only big and mean, it is smart. Take a look at this. Zadeska is the GTE Academic All-American College Football Player of the Year. 2 of the members, Stye and Wilkes, have already graduated. Graham a 3.3, and Wiegert, the All-American Outland Trophy winner, a 2.7.
Well, there's a guy right there we can all relate to. All of a sudden, that's the low man on the totem pole.
Talking about Zadeska, he's never had worse than an A, ever, at any level. Frazier lofts it downfield. Muhammad double covered. Interception made by Carlos Jones of Miami.
You're not going to run by Carlos Jones. He's the fastest player on this team, and it was his interception against FSU that put the game away. It looked for a moment like Abdul Muhammad was going to be open, and now watch Carlos Jones turn on the jets and just simply go over the top. He has not been beaten deep the entire season for the Miami Hurricanes.
Frazier threw it right into double coverage that time.
1st and 10 for Miami from their own 3-yard line.
As he throws his 3rd interception of the season. Back at the FedEx Orange Bowl, while we were away, Nebraska coach Tom Osborne gave the word to Brooke Behringer, the backup quarterback. Behringer nodding and then going to the ball bag. So it looks like the Huskers are going to the pen. Behringer will be on the next time they have the ball. In the meantime, Miami backed up to the 3 after the interception. They come with a 2 tight end formation to try to bang it out of there, leading 3-0. Stewart, driven back, got to the line of scrimmage and not much more, but the Miami defense made the play that got them the ball back.
One of the fastest defensive linemen in the country right here, Warren Sapp. makes the initial contact, comes all the way around, and forces Tommy Frazier to release the ball too high. It hung up just long enough for Carlos Jones. Credit that play to Warren Sapp.
So Frazier will watch the next series apparently, and Behringer will come on as they go over the notes together. However, Miami is still backed up. No gain on their first play. It's 2nd and 10 from the 3. Costa with play action. And the pass caught. Jamie German with a Miami first down, a gain of 17 to the 20. And once again, Baron Miles victimized by Costa.
Jamie German, one of the fastest players on this Miami team. Baron Miles, a terrific defensive back, but doesn't have great speed. And this is about as far off as I've seen him play throughout the course of this year, showing a lot of respect for these Miami receivers. And as long as Baron Miles continues to back up in that way, they will continue to pick on him.
Baron Miles, as Behringer warms up, has 3 times been victimized as we come inside the minute 30 mark, first quarter. Costa going deep. And the pass is caught by Tellison. A.C. Tellison all the way to the 35-yard line of the Cornhuskers. A gain of 44 yards. Costa to Tellison.
Tellison working just one-on-one. This time they go after the other corner, Tyrone Williams. I should say in Tyrone Williams' defense, he's getting absolutely no help in the middle of the field. This is just one-on-one football. These corners are going to have an awfully difficult night tonight.
Minute left first quarter. Canes first down at the 37 of the Huskers, leading 3-0. Stewart twisting, turning to the 35-yard line, gain of 2, tackled by Ed Stewart.
Miami.
A corner's nightmare. When you start bringing these safeties up to the line of scrimmage to help against the run, now you're left on a complete island on the outside, one-on-one against the speedy Miami receivers.
Nebraska 35.
Boy, oh boy, are they putting those guys in a tough position.
Dennis Erickson telling us they were going to look for Tellison at times when they brought the safeties up, usually from a slot position, and it paid off for 44 yards. 2nd and 8. Closing seconds, first quarter. Quick drop. Costa swings it complete. Jones to the 15. Jones for the touchdown. Team, it's pretty hard to keep up with the Joneses. They have 7 of them. That was Trent Jones that just took it 35 yards from Costa for the score. 97-yard Miami drive. Remember, it began on their own 3-yard line. Pruitt for the extra point. It's good.
The flanker screen with the other receivers blocking against man coverage, almost impossible to defend. Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, said this play should be outlawed. And when Trent Jones gets in the open field,
And the hurricane warnings are up. 10-0 Miami.
Next Saturday at noon Eastern, the stakes rise in the AFC playoff race. Eric Metcalf and the Cleveland Browns take on their Central Division rivals, the AFC's top-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers. Then next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins battle Natron Means and the San Diego Chargers. The AFC Divisional Playoffs next weekend on NBC.
Ed Stewart with the mistake. He's getting coached now on the sideline. He looked back into the backfield for Frank Costa, lost his man for just a moment, and simply could not catch up. Stewart right here will look back and it was just that split second that allowed Trent Jones to swing out away from him and make the touchdown.
And Stewart continues to get instruction on the sideline as Dane Pruitt set to kick off for Miami. Just 4 seconds left in the first quarter, a quarter dominated by the Hurricanes. Picked up on the hop by Benning. Down the lane for a moment, got it to the 30-yard line before Earl Little made the stop, a 23-yard return. An ominous beginning for the Nebraska Cornhuskers and Tom Osborne. Frazier out, Behringer in when we come back to the FedEx Orange Bowl. Ready to start the second quarter at the Orange Bowl. Brooke Behringer replacing Tommy Frazier at quarterback for Nebraska. But the Hurricanes don't seem to care. In fact, Malcolm Pearson, the defensive back, said he didn't mind facing either of the Nebraska quarterbacks.
We don't really care who's at quarterback. I mean, Dan Marino can be at quarterback. J.C. Watts can be running our option. It doesn't make no difference because we're going to both fly to the ball and try to knock both of their heads off.
Well, they've done a pretty good job so far. J.C. Watts, did he say?
I believe that's what I heard. I think he played for Oklahoma, though. Never know who might show up in this one.
That was Malcolm X. Pearson, named for the late civil rights leader. Behringer, a handoff to Phillips on first down. Using his blockers well, Phillips to the 45-yard line, a gain of 15 and a Nebraska first down. And it was Pearson who had to make the tackle on Phillips that time.
And Lewis on the tackle for Miami.
Zach Wiegert is just such a stud. Number 72 coming right at you. He's the Outland Trophy winner, leading the way, so athletic. They think he could play tight end for Nebraska. That's how well he runs.
A 300-pounder on the corner leading the interference. He is a great one. Senior from Fremont, Nebraska. Not much as they get only a yard or so on the ground from Phillips that time with Johnson and Francis. Well, Wiegert, 300 pounds, and he does love to hit people. He loves something else. He loves to eat. This is a sample.
This man should go to dinner with you. That would be a serious competition. They do go at it pretty good. They have spaghetti and steaks and chicken and salad and grape nuts and orange juice. And this is just one meal. This is not all day. This is one meal.
No food is safe around that man. 2nd and 9. Huskers trailing 10-0 and Behringer changing the play. It's the option. Behringer got only a couple of yards. Ray Lewis was ready for it.
Yeah, Ray Lewis told us that if you're big and you're bad and you think you can run the football on us, just bring it on. But you cannot beat these Miami linebackers to the corner. Even when they get a block, when they get a hand on you, they're still able to run around and make the play on the corner. So fast in that second line of defense.
3rd and 7. Behringer, the better passer of the two Nebraska quarterbacks. Let's see if he puts it up here. Play action fake. In trouble. Warren Sapp was there almost as quickly as Behringer was.
Practice to play against this guy. There's nobody on the scout squad that can do this. Number 76, he's going to be held, he's going to be pushed, he's going to grab one toe. That was a tackle by one toe. Warren Sapp, a phenomenal athlete. Where do you see him in the draft next year? Probably top 5.
Erstad's punt, German says stay away from it. It takes a good Nebraska bounce. An excellent Nebraska bounce. Inside the 10, all the way down to the 9-yard line. But remember, the last time Miami had the ball, they went 97 yards. That punt covered 54. Sapp and company on top by 10.
Punt of 54 yards by Nebraska.
Hovering over the Orange Bowl tonight, one of the most enduring symbols of collegiate athletics, the Goodyear blimp, in its 70th year of operation. Warren Sapp telling the guys how he did it.
I bet you could pull the blimp out of the sky.
Or scare it out of the sky.
I tell you what, he is tremendous. Just so athletic.
Total yard advantage for the Canes. Stewart cut back to the 24-yard line. Gain of nearly 14 yards before Ed Stewart makes the tackle.
Tom, they're just having their way with this Nebraska defense. This defense is too good to be blown out the way that they are. Just running the football at will, throwing the football at will. And for Tom Osborne, who is desperately trying to win that first national championship, this just has to be a horrible sight.
James Stewart from Vero Beach, Florida, used to go over to Dodgertown, the Los Angeles Dodgers training complex as a youth. Football was always his game, though. Costa going down the sideline for Tellison, who can't hold on. There's a flag down. It may be another offensive interference call. It looked like Tellison pushed off on Kareem Moss.
And he's hurt. Might be hurt. I agree with your initial assessment, though, Tom. It did look like Tellison turned around and pushed off just as the ball was arriving.
Pass it. Offense. Penalized half the distance from the previous spot. First.
Call is offensive pass interference against Miami.
Just before the ball got there, Tellison with a push. Great call by the officials. Good position there by Kareem Moss.
To the face, too.
That's not too difficult to call.
Tellison, the worse for wear after that, holding his left arm and elbow, perhaps, maybe even the shoulder.
And Tom, one of the significant things about his being injured is that he's the hot receiver. He's the guy that is supposed to make the reads if Nebraska comes with blitzes. So this may be a difficult situation game plan-wise for the Miami coaching staff.
Ball back at the 12-yard line. Draw play handoff. Stewart to the 15-yard line. He got only 3. Let's go to the sideline and John Dockery.
You know, Tom and Chris, a volatile exchange from the Nebraska defense after the last Miami touchdown. Defensive back Kareem Moss went after defensive tackle number 55, Christian Peters, saying, hey, let's get some pressure on the quarterback. Let's take on some blockers. So the Nebraska defense angry and shocked and bickering between themselves. You know, Chris, I can't believe that they're leaving the Nebraska defensive backs, especially in the slot, one-on-one with this kind of Miami speed. I'm shocked.
I wouldn't want to be playing defensive back for the Cornhuskers right now. They have done it throughout the course of the game. Looks like they're coming out with it one more time.
And if they are losing their composure a bit, it's because this is a situation they haven't faced this season. Someone doing this to one of the best defenses in college football. Quick drop. Costa flipped it behind his intended receiver, the tight end, Daphnis.
And Tom, that's exactly what I was talking about. Nebraska coming with the blitz, Frank Costa having to throw a hot, and it was not successful. Now let's see whether or not Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, comes right back with another blitz. That one was successful. Miami looked bad on it. Maybe come right back to it.
Third and 19.
It'll be a 5-receiver formation for Costa on 3rd down and 19. And a flag down before the play can be initiated.
Wasn't the play clock, only at 2.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Down.
Well, things starting to unravel a bit on this series for Erickson's team. It all started with the offensive interference call on A.C. Tellison. Is he getting on his players or the officials?
No, but Dennis is going to be a little.
That answer that question.
Generally, those striped-shirted guys. maybe Jay Ina, the left guard. Yes, he put his hand down and then pulled it back up. That's a no-no.
3rd and 24. Costa's pass complete to German. Jamie bounces off tacklers, reversing his field and hit again at the 11-yard line. Good swarming defense that time by the Cornhuskers, led by Grant Wistrom.
Now that's the kind of Nebraska defense we grew accustomed to seeing this year. Aggressive, coming after the players, pursuing from behind, using their speed. That time Grant Wistrom with the play, and that is the first unsuccessful drive that Miami has had tonight.
So on 4th down, Pruitt to punt. Let's watch Baron Miles, number 14, at the bottom of your screen. The kick blocking specialist, 7 in his career. They're ready for him. He still put a little pressure on, but Pruitt kicks it out of there to the 49 of Nebraska. And Moss bounced off one man and got it back to the 40. A 10-yard return after the punt covered 41. C.J. Richardson makes the tackle for Miami as a scuffle breaks out.
Baron Miles gets plenty of attention regardless of where he lines up. The Nebraska coaching staff says that he's our best punt return man as well. Watch the activity at the end of this play. Booker Pickett will make the hit, lie on top of him, and then a little typical Miami stuff.
10-14 left in the half. It's been all Miami. Miami escaped disaster on that last punt.
They have really struggled with their punt snaps this year. 7 bad snaps already this season, leading to 5 different scores. Very fortunate that time just simply to get the punt off. Jeffrey Taylor, now the man doing the snapping for Miami. He's the 3rd guy this season to have that job.
Best field position for Nebraska to start a drive. Barrier still at quarterback, handing to Phillips. Wrestled down by Corwin Francis. Let's go to John Dockery for a report on Miami injured receiver A.C. Tellison. Doc?
Yeah, the word on Tellison from the trainers is that it's separated. It looks like a separated left shoulder. Chances of him coming back are very slim. Obviously, Miami will miss him in that 3 wide receiver set. Back to you, Tom.
All right, indeed they will. And Dennis Erickson telling us he was one of the keys to a successful game plan for the Canes tonight, and he leaves with 10 minutes left in the first half. Barringer facing 2nd and 6. Handed to Phillips. Turned the corner and got just short of the 30-yard line where he's hit by Marvin Davis. Close to a first down.
Davis on the tackle for Miami.
Have to say that Brooke Barringer is giving this offense a lift. The big difference, of course, in the passing yards, and that is what they talk about, that Brooke is the better passer, Tommy Frazier the better runner. But I really think that now what you're seeing, just the threat of the pass from Brooke Barringer is enough to open up the running game.
Wasn't much threat there. It was a first down. It's at the 29 of the Canes. Nebraska trailing by 10. Reverse. Washington thrown back at the 20-yard line. Still, it was a gain of about 9 yards. Malcolm X, Pearson, and Ray Lewis putting the hit.
Pearson on the tackle for Miami.
Oh, there goes that boring conservative Tom Osborne again. The guy that has no flash. Barely got this play off. Warren Sapp had it read, and then nice blocking down the field. Joe Wilkes, the guy that they were afraid to play against Warren Sapp, got out in front to lead that one.
We found something Sapp couldn't do. If you give one of those little guys a 10-yard head start, I don't think you can catch it. Childs, who has come in place of Phillips at the I-back. Short game, but close to a first down. Davis and Holmes, the tackle. Excuse me.
Warren Sapp is going to get plenty of attention. There you have Brendan Stye, who was moved to the left guard position. He has played right guard throughout the course of the season, but when you have that guy, Warren Sapp, playing over the left guard, well, you take one of your better guys and play him at left guard.
First down, Nebraska. Ball spotted at the 19 of the Canes. 8 minutes left, first half.
5-man defensive front for Miami. Play action. Behringer rolls, flips, caught, touchdown. Gilman. Of the season. This one to Mark Gilman. His second touchdown catch. Extra point by Sealer up and good. So Nebraska goes 40 yards in 5 plays. Behringer with a 19-yard toss to Gilman.
Behringer with the play action fake and the passing game of Nebraska getting them right back in the game.
It's a 3-point Orange Bowl.
Put in 5 defensive linemen, take out a corner, puts too much pressure on the safety and the defensive backfield. The play action away. A false step that time by Malcolm Pearson. And Mark Gilman wide open for the touchdown.
So Brooke Behringer comes off the bench for Tom Osborne and throws the touchdown pass. And just like that, Nebraska's back in the game.
We may have seen the last of the alternating quarterbacks if Behringer keeps playing the way that he has in his 2 series.
Erstad booms it out of the end zone. Touchback. Well, Tom Osborne in his 22nd year as Nebraska head coach, looking for his first national championship. Here are some famous names and how many years as a head coach it took them. Bobby Bowden got it last year, 28 years. Lou Holtz, it took him 19. The Bears, 17. Same for Joe Paterno. Ara Parsegian at Notre Dame, 14. And Dennis Erickson, only 8 years for his first national title. You see a lot of Miami names in there. Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, Howard Schnellenberger. Larry Jones now the lone setback for the Canes, who begin with a first down at their own 20. Chased from the pocket, running and down, sacked. There's a penalty marker down. Troy Dumas gets credit for the sack. It'll be against Miami.
And Tom, now we're starting to see the speed of this Nebraska defense take over. They're taking more chances against Dennis Erickson's offense, sending more people now.
Offense. Penalties decline. Second down.
Already Miami 6 penalties, 52 yards. Nebraska only 1 for 5 yards. This Nebraska offensive line, incredibly, has been called for only 4 holding calls all season long. And the Huskers only 1 penalty. Miami, Erickson already has 6 whistled against him. That one refused after the sack.
But other than the FSU game, they have not seen this kind of speed on a defense. The way that Nebraska plays, but another timeout. And Costa not comfortable.
Play clock was at 3, as you saw, as Costa called Miami's first timeout. It comes with 7:22 left in the half, and the momentum beginning to swing the other way.
Frank Costa benched last year after the FSU game. He's been much ridiculed on radio and in the newspapers here locally. It really got to him a year ago. He actually regressed after the benching. He didn't eat, he couldn't sleep, lost 20 pounds, used to get up in the middle of the night and drive around to try and shake it off. But this year, a different guy, a different story, a much tougher Frank Costa.
Grew up in Philadelphia, a Penn State fan of all things. Costa to the sideline. Pass is caught by Christy Jones. He went upstairs and made a great grab.
Costa's pass is complete.
Pretty good coverage by Tyrone Williams, but it goes for 15 yards and a first down.
And Tom, at the wide receiver position, they have playmakers at Miami. They have always had playmakers at the wide receiver position. Not a great throw by Frank Costa, but Chris T. Jones just goes up and makes the play. Knows he's going to get hit in the back. Wobbly pass, still able to pull it down. Playmakers.
The senior from West Palm, #1 receiver for the Canes, has 3 catches for 40 yards. Keep it on the ground to Larry Jones, who's making an appearance in the Miami backfield, his first carry. Let's go to John Dockery.
Hey, Tom, you've been talking about Miami quarterbacks. How about this man, decade of champions, Bernie Kosar? I know when Frank Costa was in his down period last year, you had a conversation with him. Can you share that with us?
Well, Frank's had actually an excellent career at UM, and he's taken a little bit of flack, and he got down for a little bit. But we know I've been friends with him for a few years, and he's an excellent quarterback, and there's a lot that he has to live up to being a quarterback at the University of Miami. I think he's done a great job with it.
What advice do you give him when he was feeling all that pressure and he lost his starting job?
Well, you know, all I really told him was just have confidence in yourself, and you know, don't get down, because your time will come again. He's done a great job with it this year.
And his time has good to come again. Thank you, Bernie.
Here is Costa trying to set up a screen, and it's well covered by Nebraska. There is a flag down.
And Tom, just to finish that story by Bernie Kosar, that telephone call actually took place when all the controversy surrounding Bernie in Cleveland was going on. A very big move by a tremendous guy, Bernie Kosar.
Holding call against Miami. Well, Erickson talked to Frank Costa, and together they decided that Costa would grow that thick skin. He doesn't listen anymore to the criticism, doesn't let it get him down as it did last year. Much better outlook, much better production. When he was home in Philly at Christmas time, all his friends said, "You guys got to beat Nebraska for Penn State, okay?" And he said, "Hey, if we beat Nebraska, we're rooting for Oregon."
Still a big fan of Joe Paterno, though. Had tremendous praise for Joe Paterno. Actually might have gone there, except for the fact that Kerry Collins and John Sackett already signed to play with Penn State, and so they made the decision to come to Miami.
Wearing a little bit of Orange Bowl sod on this 2nd and 24. Like somebody was offside. Maybe Cy Tucker, the Miami tight end. Could be a legal procedure against the Hurricanes.
And Miami, sorry Tom, Miami is just sloppy right now. They are not playing the way that they are capable on offense. Mistake after mistake, and here yet another one.
Now 7 penalties, 63 yards against Erickson's team, and only 1 against Nebraska.
Like it was the tight end that left just a little early. But that's what pressure will do to an offense. If you start having some success when you bring the blitz, those offensive linemen, the blocking tight ends, they start looking around, trying to figure out exactly where the pressure will come from next.
And the Nebraska defense, after seemingly recovering from the initial shock, playing much better. There's a pass dropped. The stoppiness continues. Same man that was offside, or that had the false start, Cy Tucker, defended by the linebacker Phil Ellis.
That time a tremendous read by Frank Costa. They came with the pressure again. This is a hot read. And Cy Tucker just flat out dropped it. You see him get his head immediately around, and that was a big play.
There's only 9 receptions all season. Maybe that's why.
Can't believe it.
3rd and 29. Let's see if Nebraska comes after them.
Look at the draw.
No blitz. Costa throws it straight up in the air. Trying to settle under it is Yatil Green. And it went up so high it gave Nebraska a chance to surround it, and it falls incomplete. Baron Miles was the man that got there first. My, how the fortunes have turned here in the 2nd quarter.
And Nebraska is going to get great field position to start this drive. 6:11 remaining now until the half. Don't take your eyes off of Baron Miles, number 14 for Nebraska.
And watch the snap, too. Good snap. Punt away with no problem, but not a very good one. Hits at the Miami 40, takes a good clean bounce. Fumbled for a moment by Moss, and he pays the price as he spun down at the 45-yard line. Punt only covered 39 yards, but Booker Pickett was there to put the hit on Moss, and Nebraska will take over with 6:01 left in the half. Well, next weekend, the NFL playoffs will continue. Today, Cleveland Browns held off Bill Parcells and the Patriots 20-13 to advance, and Chicago went to the Metrodome and upset the Vikings, knocking them from the playoffs 35-18. So next Saturday, third time this season, the Browns will play the Steelers, this one at Three Rivers on NBC, and also the Bears and the 49ers. Those are the games coming up on Saturday. Barrier, still at quarterback, cuts up. Pretty good gain on the option. He got 5, maybe 6 yards before he's tackled by Kennard Lang. Then next Sunday in the NFL playoffs in the NFC, the Packers travel to beat the defending Super Bowl champion Cowboys. And then here on NBC, the Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino, will travel west to Jack Murphy Stadium to play the San Diego Chargers, champions in the AFC West. Frank Costa started great. The offense has sputtered the last couple of possessions, and Nebraska's into Miami territory with a 2nd and 4. Very little gain for Clinton Childs that time. He got the handoff and was collapsed by, yes, Warren Sapp, as in sapling, as in tree.
I thought Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator, made a great comment when he said Warren Sapp could play corner for us. He could be out there covering the wide receivers. That's how fast he is. Really reminds you of a couple of guys in Minnesota playing with the Vikings, Henry Thomas and John Randall, with their great speed and quickness.
Brendan Stye had a handful of Jersey, didn't even slow him down. It's 3rd and 4. Plenty of time for Barringer. Catch made by Gilman. Fumble the football. And Miami apparently has it. Was it Rohan Marley? There it is, Marley with the football, number 2. A discussion with the officials.
Tom, this is a different rule now in college football, and they're waving it off as incomplete. In college football, it is not enough to just simply have the catch and have 2 feet down. You have to be able to do something conducive to the game. Take a run, take a step. In college football, we talked about it yesterday with the officials. Just getting that 2nd foot down is not enough. This is the correct call in college football.
4th and 6 from Miami 58.
So Nebraska will punt.
In the NFL, that's a fumble.
The correct call made, and we talked to the officials about it just yesterday. Do something common to the game. Tuck it under, run with the ball. German fumbles the ball, but got it back. Jamie German fumbled at about the 11-yard line, but got it back, a 36-yard punt. And again, Miami is backed up as the Hurricanes, who won the battle of field position early, are losing it in the 2nd quarter.
So much pressure on these young guys. You know, you almost forget the fact that they're 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, and they may well be starting to feel it.
Well, coming up Tuesday, NBC helps you laugh your way into the new year with an all-new episode of Wings, Something Wilder and Frasier, and then a special episode of Friends. Great comedy lineup followed by an all-new Dateline Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, 7 Central on NBC. Crossing pattern. It's complete to the 15 or 16-yard line to Chris T. Jones, and Costa whacked in the end zone.
And they are now meeting at the quarterback. No question about the strategy now for the Cornhuskers. They've made the decision. They cannot allow Frank Costa to sit back and try to work it down the field. They would much rather take their chances in man-to-man coverage and allow their big guys to bring the heat.
defensive coordinator of the Cornhuskers.
Charlie McBride. I like what he's doing with this defense.
From the 17. Stewart breaks free to the outside. Stewart down the sideline, bumped out of bounds, just short of the 40. Baron Miles got over to knock him out, but not until big James Stewart rambled for 21 yards.
Tom, I think you've got it the other way around. James Stewart almost knocked out Baron Miles at the end of this play. Huge hole over on the right side. Rick Perry, probably their second best offensive line, with a great pin block, and then little Baron Miles. Oh, boy.
James Stewart, it's a wonderful life.
The holiday season, I'll accept that.
46 yards already, 3:29 left, first half. Miami leading Nebraska 10-7 in the FedEx Orange Bowl. Costa from the shotgun, rifles it high over Taz Johnson's head and incomplete.
Costa's pass intended for Johnson.
Dennis Erickson has a 63-8 record since 1989. That's the best record in Division I. Tom Osborne, 58-11-1. Osborne ranks as the winningest coach, active coach currently if you go back through his career. But since '89, Erickson among the elite.
And still the heat on Dennis Erickson in this town. He says the expectations just simply unreal here.
One of the reasons he may depart for the NFL. Costa hit as he threw it. It sails incomplete over the head of Trent Jones. Dwayne Harris was the man that popped Costa that time, and he's taking a beating.
Miles on the coverage.
And it's just like a heavyweight championship fight. You just want to keep pounding the quarterback. Nice inside move there by Dwayne Harris. And eventually those hits all begin to take their tolls.
This is the play before. Bang. Almost every play, he's taken a solid hit.
And almost every play by a different guy.
And his production has fallen dramatically. Costa got away, and his man dropped the ball. Marcus Wimberly had a first down and dropped the football.
And Marcus Wimberly would not be in the game but for the injury to A.C. Tellison. We saw earlier Chris T. Jones, the older receiver, make that type of play. And Frank Costa knows that he has to have his guys make those sort of plays. Warren Sapp wants this one.
I might avoid him when I go to the sideline if I'm Wimberly. Fair catch called at the 25-yard line and taken by Moss, a 37-yard punt. Here's a fight and a flag. A couple of players, I know Antonio Coley of Miami and Eric Stokes of Nebraska were going at it.
Officials doing a nice job in this one. There have been those types of skirmishes throughout the game, and yet they have not lost control, and they haven't had to throw their flag yet. Looks like there might be one here, though.
The offsetting dead ball personal fouls, as indicated by Ron Winter.
A personal foul against Miami.
Sapp for one, can't believe it.
Foul against Nebraska.
Well, Miami's 7 penalties, 6 have been on the Hurricane offense. Nebraska still has had only one accepted penalty. Orange Bowl record, as Coley gets a lecture from the coaches. Orange Bowl record, 17 penalties by Tennessee back in 1939.
You know, I don't think I'm breaking any news when I say that Miami likes to talk a little trash after plays, and that time perhaps it was Stokes who made the first comment.
Nebraska takes over, first down at their own 25, trailing by 3. Fake the reverse. Behringer got away a second time and will run. Behringer out of bounds, made a gain of it of about 7 yards to the 32, where Corbin Francis makes sure he goes out of bounds.
Maybe the play of the game so far right there by Brooke Behringer. They go with the reverse fake, something that had worked earlier in the game. Look down the field. Reggie Ball was not there. There's the flak jacket that he's having to wear because of the collapsed lung that he suffered earlier this season.
Behringer, born in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, but grew up in Kansas, a Colorado fan. What a difference he's made for the Cornhuskers this season. Pitch it to Benning. Benning has a Nebraska first down. Damon Benning, sophomore from Omaha, fourth leading rusher for the Cornhuskers. We told you that Behringer grew up in Kansas. Two sisters went to Kansas State. He was a Colorado fan. There are his two sisters, and in the middle, in the blue, Jan Behringer, Brooke Behringer's mother. His dad is deceased, but Jan on hand with Brooke's two sisters.
And Brooke Behringer said that his mom got so nervous before his Colorado start. So it wasn't just the day of. It was like 3 or 4 days in advance. He did his best to calm her down, but nothing seemed to work.
You talk about nervous around Brooke. I got a better story than that in a moment. Handoff again to Benning. Benning with some daylight. Upended after a gain of 9. C.J. Richardson upending Damon Benning.
Seen a lot of misdirection so far out of Nebraska. And the thing that's surprising me is their ability to get outside. But almost every time that it's happened, you've seen them play fake one way and then bring it back the other way. They're taking advantage of Miami's quick first step. In other words, that when they start one way, Miami, boom, they move that way, and then they are able to reverse their field back on the other side.
Less than 2 minutes remaining, 2nd and 1. Behringer still has it after the fake, and he's in trouble. He's in deep trouble as he flings it out of bounds. Kenny Holmes was bearing down on Brooke Behringer, and there is no flag. No intentional grounding.
Kenny Holmes, they tell us next year he will be Warren Sapp. I agree with the call. I did not think that it was intentional grounding. There was a receiver in the area. I don't know which is tougher, playing or watching.
Well, Brooke is a licensed pilot. In fact, his late dad's twin brother is a Delta pilot, and he wants to be a commercial pilot. He has his license. He took his center, Aaron Graham, up for a ride in a little two-seater. Graham was crammed in there, could barely get off the ground. It scared him to death. Benning, first down run to midfield.
I like what he said. He said with Aaron on there, said, I got the front wheel up fairly easily. It's those back two wheels we had a little problem with.
If you're just joining us, Tommy Frazier got the starting call from Tom Osborne. Had a couple of series, could do nothing with the football. Brooke Behringer has come on to replace him, and Frazier still on the sideline.
Minute 35 to go in the first half now. Nebraska needs to pick up the pace.
They trail by 3. Warren Sapp getting a breather on the Miami sideline. Pass complete to Phillips out of the backfield, but he only gets about 3 yards, and the clock continues to roll.
Very good pass, complete to Phillips.
And also did not get out of bounds.
Tackled by Holmes.
There's Sapp catching his breath on the Miami sideline.
Nebraska has to take a timeout. One of the things that Dennis Erickson told us about Warren Sapp was that he refuses to play anything less than 100%. So if he gets winded, if he gets a little tired, he would rather be out of the ball game so that he could come back in and then play 100%.
Sapp comes from the little town of Plymouth, Florida, population about 250. It's known for its giant tree almost in the center of town where all the adults gather to talk about the current happenings, and Warren has been the main topic of conversation in recent weeks. His great play, winner of the Lombardi Trophy, U.S. Defensive Player of the Year consensus All-American. In fact, was 6th in the Heisman Trophy voting. Timeout taken by Nebraska. They have 1 left. Miami has 2 remaining. Well, you want to stay with us at halftime. Is a circus. The Orange Bowl show is legendary, and you won't be disappointed in the 1995 edition. We'll also go back and visit with Greg Gumbel, Mike Ditka, and Joe Gibbs to recap today's NFL playoff action. That's all coming up at halftime here at the FedEx Orange Bowl. Warren Sapp back out on the field now for the final minute 16.
And Tom, at halftime, they have a human cannonball act. They're going to shoot this sucker all the way across the field.
They're not coming up here looking for volunteers or draftees, are they?
Oh, my goodness. Should be great.
The venerable Orange Bowl. The stadium, the home of the Miami Hurricanes. Nebraska trying to beat them on their home field and win the national championship. The shovel pass. Warren Sapp said, no. Put a big paw on the back of the pads and just pulled down Lawrence Phillips for a loss of 1.
Lawrence Phillips weighs 200 pounds. Warren Sapp tackled him with just a couple of fingers. That's all you need. I got 2 or 3 fingers on him and just yank him down. And
Loss of 3.
Warren Sapp completely dominated the game against Florida State. Dennis Erickson said he's never seen a player dominate a game like that, and at least thus far he's doing the same thing against Nebraska.
Much the way Jerome Brown, Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland have done for the Canes. Setting up a screen that goes awry because one of the Canes was right in the middle of it. Phillips, the intended receiver, and if you had to take a guess, who would you guess might be disrupting the play?
Well, at that time, Warren Sapp, instead of coming after Brooke Behringer, he went out there and fouled up the screen. Brilliant, masterful performance so far by Warren Sapp.
30 seconds left on 4th down. The Cornhuskers will punt. Erstad averaging 42. German, the deep man for the Canes. Nice punt by Erstad. Sails out of bounds at about the 18-yard line. Punt covered 32 yards and pins the Canes once again inside their 20. Thanks in large measure to Warren Sapp and the Miami defense. It's a 10-7 Miami lead, and Rohan Marley there, who has returned to action in this Orange Bowl after an injury, talking to Warren Sapp. But did we enjoy our conversation with Rohan or not? You know, he's the son of the late rap star Bob Marley, and when he came in the room, not rap star, reggae star, and he entertained us.
He was singing all the way through our interview. In the game, gets the call and takes a hit thrown back by Phil Ellis and others in the Nebraska defense, and that will be the final play of the first half. Nebraska broke out of the gate in a hurry, built a 10-point lead before the Cornhuskers behind Brooke Behringer got the momentum. Let's go to John Dockery.
Coach, can you give us your overview of the first half?
Well, the bottom line, we got too many penalties. We're making too many mistakes. We're moving the ball up and down the field, playing great defense, and we make penalties and put ourselves in bad field position. And we got all the penalties. They don't have any. That's the difference in the first half.
Did the team just lose some concentration? You started off so high.
If I had the answer, we wouldn't do it, John.
Okay, Tom, back up to you, Tom.
All right, John Dockery, Miami, the momentum early. Nebraska got back into it. And I wonder if Joe Paterno is an interested viewer here with the second half yet to come. At the end of the first half, Miami leading Nebraska in the FedEx Orange Bowl 10-7 for halftime. Let's go to Bob Costas. Bob?
Boy, Tom, you can bet Joe Paterno, Kijana Carter, Kerry Collins, all the Nittany Lions, very interested observers. These are the two best teams, Miami and Nebraska, defensively in terms of points allowed in the country. Very hard to get hot for a sustained period against either. And although Nebraska got back into it in the second quarter, a question will be this: did they give away the first quarter by starting Frazier? They have moved the ball much better with Behringer in there. Now here's what's ahead on the halftime show. We'll get a report from Greg Gumbel and the crew at NFL Live on today's playoff victories by the Browns and the Bears, which featured stellar performances by former Miami University quarterbacks Vinny Testaverde and Steve Walsh. Now Frank Costa of the Canes is trying to make it a triple-header sweep. And still ahead, here at the Orange Bowl, a circus without a big top. We'll bring you elephants, tigers, and everybody's holiday favorite, a guy being shot out of a cannon. We hope you brought your own cotton candy. But first, these words from the NCAA and the universities of Miami and Nebraska. It's very likely the last national championship game in this stadium.
FedEx Orange Bowl halftime. Miami leading Nebraska number 3 over number 1, 10-7. Welcome back to Miami, everyone. Chris, before the game started, you said you agreed with Tom Osborne's decision to start Tommy Frazier at quarterback. In light of what happened in the first half, do you still agree?
Changed my mind.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Brooke Behringer, with just the threat of the pass alone, has done a couple of things. One thing, he hit a couple of passes, but it's also opened up the running game for Nebraska.
And just a couple of moments ago, John Dockery talked with Nebraska coach Tom Osborne.
Coach, you started off slowly. What turned it around for you in the first half?
Well, I think we try to play physical football, and we're hoping that we'll continue to get stronger as the game goes along. We need to hang on the ball on offense, get some first downs, keep their defense on the field. I think our defense is getting a little bit more confidence. We're getting a little more pressure on Costa. We just hope we can hang in there and pull it out.
Who's your quarterback in the second half?
Brooke Behringer will start.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
So Behringer will start the second half, but Nebraska must kick off to Miami after Miami deferring to open the game.
And Tom Osborne still calling him Behringer.
Yeah.
Just refuses to make that change.
Tom Osborne now a half away from maybe that elusive national championship, trailing by 3. And a look at number 7, German, who is deep to receive the kick. Erstad boots it, and German will field it about 3 yards deep. Shipman, actually, and not German. They caught it. Shipman with a 23-yard return. Let's take a look at the first half stats now, and remember that Miami had a 97-yard touchdown drive, which will account for much of their total yardage in that first half.
And Nebraska had the ball in good position for most of that first half. Miami was an offense of big plays, over half their yards coming on 3 big plays.
First down, Hurricanes from their own 22-yard line. Frank Costa still at quarterback. Stewart, the lone setback. First down pass. Costa wings it complete. Chris T. Jones with another catch. He's across the 25 to the 27, where he's hit by Baron Miles.
And Tom, I was really surprised that Chris T. Jones wasn't a bigger part of the first half. No question about it. He's their best receiver. He's working one-on-one that time against Baron Miles. They need to find a way to get him the football.
They have gotten it to him 5 times for 54 yards.
But as a wide receiver, when you're playing against man coverage, you want it all the time.
And remember, latter stages of the half, they were starting to put tremendous pressure on Costa. One of the reasons he didn't have the luxury of surveying his receivers. Stewart bounces to the outside, spinning his way forward, taking tacklers with him, and he's all the way to the 40-yard line. What a run by James Stewart.
But he refuses to classify himself as a fullback, despite being 245 pounds. We asked him, wouldn't you like to just take it against this smaller Nebraska defense and just pound it in there time after time? He said, no, it's that wears on your body. I don't need any of that. Let me go outside a couple of times, then I'll come back inside.
As a senior at Vero Beach High School, he averaged 8 yards a carry for the season. First down pass. This time it's complete across midfield to Jermaine Chambers. Miles and Veland get him, but not until he gains 14, and the aerial game of the Canes begins to click again.
You know, it's interesting now. Miami is coming back to what they did early in the first half. They had a tremendous first quarter. They're going to the short drops, to the quicker throws, not allowing Nebraska's pressure to get there.
Tom Osborne sees the Hurricanes drive off their opening possession of the second half. Now with a first down at the Cornhusker 45. It's 10-7 Miami. Stewart. This time the defense ready for him. He got only a couple of yards. Let's go to John Dockery. Doc?
You know, Chris, you've been talking about the Nebraska defense coming with pressure, blitz, as you said. They're also doing is tipping the blitz off, because if you notice, their safeties are starting to creep up to 7 and 8 yards, almost even 4 across with the cornerbacks. And heck, we can see it from the sidelines. So you got to assume that Frank Costa and Miami can see it. So let's see if they adjust to it. Watch those safeties creeping up, tipping off the blitz.
That's a good point, Doc. 2nd and 9. The safeties appear to be holding their ground this time now, beginning to creep a little bit, as you see. No blitz. Costa's pass to a wide open Harris. Jonathan Harris cuts back. He's to the 15, to the outside. Harris racing for the end zone. Touchdown. The 2-yard line. Frank Costa. Jonathan Harris. It's against Miami.
Tom, that may well have been for excessive celebration after the touchdown.
It is.
In that case, the touchdown will stand.
So excessive celebration, the touchdown will stand, the penalty will come on the kickoff.
But that was the matchup we talked about at the beginning of the game. Jonathan Harris one-on-one against anybody. When we talked to him, he said, I want to be the man. Get me the football, especially against that man coverage. They cannot cover me.
First catch of the day for Harris goes for 44 yards.
Penalty is unsportsmanlike conduct on Miami.
Jonathan Harris, the senior from Houston, Texas. 3rd leading receiver on the season, as Miami typically spreads the ball around. Here's the extra point attempt by Pruitt. High snap. Chrissy got it down. Pruitt boots it through. The quick strike Miami offense, this time in the person of Jonathan Harris.
That's what he told us yesterday. I told you they can't cover me. No way. One-on-one coverage. A huge cushion against him. Kareem Moss just giving him all sorts of room. That was the matchup. Jonathan Harris against the safeties from Nebraska. It cannot work for Nebraska.
Frank Costa celebrates another touchdown pass. It puts the Canes up by 10.
The FedEx Orange Bowl is brought to you by FedEx. For documents, packages, and freight worldwide, our most important package is yours. By the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. And by Pizza Hut. You'll love the stuff we're made of.
With producer Tommy Roy, director Andy Rosenberg, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery, Bob Costas, the FedEx Orange Bowl. 17-7 Canes because of the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for excessive celebration. Miami kicks off from the 20. It'll be taken by Benning. Benning down the sideline, almost to midfield, tripped up at the 49-yard line by Willie Phillips. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Live by the blitz, die by the blitz. You bring pressure, you're forced into man coverage in the secondary. Just too much quickness. Jonathan Harris, watch the run after the catch. That's what's so brilliant. So far, Miami's offense, 276 yards, but they've had plays of 44, 43, 35, and 21 yards. Big plays, the difference in this game.
But because of the penalty, good field position for Nebraska. They need to answer. Barringer starting at quarterback. Pitch it to Phillips. Wrestled down after a gain of only 1 by Davis and Lang. Well, the Canes can strike in a hurry, as we've seen tonight. 5 plays, 78 yards, only a minute 41 on the 44-yard pass, but nothing new for Miami. 8 of their drives
under a minute, 8 others between 1:30 and 2. The average 2 minutes 44 seconds. Their 42 touchdown drives during the regular season. Costa, the man that engineered it. 2nd and 9 for Behringer. Play action. Behringer has to unload it and throws it away. Warren Sapp was bearing down on him, but Behringer had time, just no one open.
3rd and 9.
Now Warren Sapp's do a little talking to the coaching staff. It doesn't matter who it is. You know, the water boy, the guy holding the tape over there, our TV crew. Because you just chase everybody around and give a little whack on the quarterback and then stand up, and you're just getting a little friendly conversation with the boys over there.
Well, Jerome Brown went the 9th pick. Cortez Kennedy the 3rd. Russell Maryland the 1st. You'd have to say Warren Sapp is a candidate to be way up there as well. It's known as quarterback U, but the defensive tackles just as good as the QBs. 3rd down pass. Behringer goes deep. Muhammad can't get there. Or excuse me, it was Reggie Ball, the intended receiver. But Behringer's pass sailed way out of bounds over the head of Reggie Ball.
If we could just get him to open up a little bit, come out of his shell and have some fun on the football field.
Not much fun for that man.
You know, what did he tell us yesterday? He said, if I don't win this national championship, they'll probably put it on my tombstone, but I guess that's okay because I'll be dead anyway. I don't care.
Erstad averaging just a touch under 40 a boot. German, fair catch. Takes it at the 14-yard line. He's hit. It was a 36-yard punt. And I guess no penalty because he was juggling the football, I presume. It looked like the violation of the fair catch signal.
You're supposed to get 2 yards. And basically, he got tackled. You have the right to fall to the ground and make a catch. I don't know why that wasn't a penalty.
Well,
Punt is 36 yards. Miami will take over.
The catch. Had the fair catch signal. Not supposed to be able to dive on top of him.
the Orange Bowl Stadium began as a 5,000-seat motorcycle racing facility when it opened. At the first Orange Bowl football game in 1935, the Goodyear blimp was there as Bucknell shut out Miami 26-0. Great pictures from the Goodyear blimp high over the Orange Bowl in Miami tonight. First down, Hurricanes. The ball at their own 14-yard line. They lead Nebraska 17-7. Nebraska showing first down blitz. They don't come, and Costa has time. Wings it way downfield, overshooting his intended receiver, Chris T. Jones, defended by Eric Stokes. Well, these Orange Bowl appearances, national championship tries, 7 straight losing bowls for Tom Osborne have become painful. He wins at an almost 84% clip in his own conference. Non-conference games almost as good. Ranked teams very respectable. But when it comes to bowl games, only a .381 winning percentage. And Osborne's Huskers have dropped the last 7 in a row. He is giving one last reminder to his offensive unit. He calls the plays. The offense very much his responsibility. Looking for the defense to make a stop here. Stewart on the delayed handoff. Flag, a late one coming in. Terwilliger and Coleman on the tackle for Nebraska.
Flags are down on the play.
And another late flag as the players were getting up off the ground.
Coleman on the tackle for Nebraska.
That'll be the 9th penalty against the Hurricanes. Well, actually,
2 fouls. Look like a chop block and a personal foul against Miami.
Illegal block and a personal foul.
They may have to back him up into the cheap seats.
all the way over to Joe Robbie. Obviously, Ron Winter's mic is not working.
I believe what that is an illegal crack. When you come outside in as a wide receiver and make a block on someone inside, you have to stay above the waist. Apparently one of the wide receivers came back in and cracked below the waist.
Canes approaching 100 yards in penalties, while Osborne's group only 2 for 15 yards. The ball sent all the way back inside the 5 to about the 3-yard line. The ball just over the 3.
Boy, does Nebraska's defense need a big play now.
Receivers, nobody back there but Costa in the end zone. Being chased, and that'll be a safety. Dwayne Harris, the senior from Bessemer, Alabama, with his 6th sack of the season and a safety, 2 points for the Cornhuskers.
Well, you call for it, and Dwayne Harris delivers. Here's a guy with a 7-foot wingspan, and watch him stick out one of those big paws and make the play on Frank Costa. They say that he reminds him of Neil Smith, the great from the Kansas City Chiefs. Gonna send out that big hook and just pull him down with one arm. And now Nebraska has some much needed momentum. Good inside move. Sort of a scary picture, isn't it? To see one of those big guys coming at you.
From ground level. So the sack in the end zone, the safety, and now Miami will free kick from the 20-yard line.
And don't forget the 2-point conversion in college football, so only a touchdown and a 2-point conversion away from tying this one up.
Scoring began with a 44-yard Dane Pruitt field goal from Miami. He went to 10-0 Canes after Costa hit Trent Jones with a 35-yard TD pass. Brooke Barringer, a 19-yard touchdown to Gilman, got Nebraska on the board. Then the Canes opened the third quarter with a 44-yard strike, Costa to Harris. Now the safety makes it 17-9.
And Nebraska deployed their kick return team, and the guys were backed up all the way to the end zone.
And you know, once again, Miami will have to kick off from the 20-yard line.
It's a lot of fun, this Orange Bowl game.
It is.
Halftime to the great game and all the surrounding events.
I saw those pachyderms. I thought the Nebraska offensive line had come out early.
Those are the non-starters.
There was a report that Tom Osborne were trying to recruit a couple of them. Benning dropped it, got it back, but is taken down at the 25-yard line.
Tom, that was at least a 15 to 20-yard drop right there. Big mistake.
Juan Russell was the man that tackled Benning after he recovered his own fumble, but it really hurts the Husker field position.
And we've seen some drop kicks throughout the course of the evening. So quick, that Miami cover team. You're never going to outrun those guys anywhere, and there is a player down.
Injured Cane, we believe, is Earl Little, sophomore safety from North Miami. While they tend to him, we'll take a break with 11:29 left, third quarter. Miami up 17-9.
Monday, USC takes on Texas Tech in the Mobile Cotton Bowl. Then Heisman winner Rashaan Salam and Colorado battle Notre Dame in the IBM OS2 Fiesta Bowl, Monday on NBC.
One of the great advantages of being young, you can survive a hit like this. Watch Earl Little's right knee. The pile will got up and ran off.
Yep, jogged off the field. Good news.
You and I have been in the hospital for a long time.
I felt like going just watching it. From the 25. Hand off to Phillips. A tough 3 yards. Ray Lewis with a good hit from the center of the Miami defense.
You know, Ray Lewis made a statement in his freshman year that he would be the greatest linebacker ever at Miami. And boy, did they rip him up. I mean, these defensive players just absolutely wore him out. We sort of asked him about it the other day, and he was a little more conservative in his comments, or as conservative as any of these Miami defensive players can be.
From Lakeland Kathleen High School, a true sophomore, he said, when you see his head bobbing after he makes a hit, you know he's talking trash. Behringer goes the other way and has his receiver wide open. It's Holbein. He's close to a first down, maybe just short at the 35-yard line. C.J. Richardson and Chad Wilson, the stop.
Tom, the most successful plays that Nebraska has had throughout the course of the evening are plays in which they start one way and then come back the other way. Watch how fast Miami's defense pursues. It leaves big holes in the defense on the other side, both in the running game and in the passing game. Tom Osborne needs to stay with that kind of misdirection. Take advantage of Miami's speed.
That pass play was just enough for a first down. So the Cornhuskers have it just across the 35. First down, 10.5 minutes left, third quarter, 17-9 Miami. 4 of 9 for Behringer since replacing starter Tommy Frazier in the first half. Here's the option. Schlesinger, first man in the option, carries it for 3 or 4 yards before he's stopped by Pearson and Richardson.
Schlesinger, the ball carrier for Nebraska.
Yeah, when I was talking with Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator from Miami, he said that the guy that really impresses me is Schlesinger. He's just a big, old-fashioned, smash-mouth kind of fullback, a tremendous blocker, and then every once in a while they hand him the football and he'll just pop it right up the middle for 4 or 5 yards.
Senior from Duncan, Nebraska, was twice the state wrestling champion during his days at Columbus High School.
Like Miami was trying to get a timeout.
And they will have to burn a timeout here. So the Hurricanes call a timeout with 9:46 left with a mix-up on their defensive alignment. It's 17-9 Hurricanes.
Next Saturday at noon Eastern, the stakes rise in the AFC playoff race. Eric Metcalf and the Cleveland Browns take on their Central Division rivals, the AFC's top-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers. Then next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins battle Natron Means and the San Diego Chargers. The AFC Divisional Playoffs next weekend on NBC.
Will the national champion be Nebraska, 12-0, but trailing Miami 17-9? Will Tom Osborne have his first in 22 years of coaching? Or will it perhaps be Penn State if they can win the Rose Bowl tomorrow? Or perhaps will it be Miami? 9:46 left, third quarter. Phillips on the counter play. It's another 3 tough yards. He's done the yeoman work on the ground for the Huskers tonight. That time Marvin Davis and Kennard Lang with a hit.
Davis on the tackle.
Warren Sapp is taking the entire offensive line in Nebraska back wherever he goes. I mean, they're just tackling and grabbing each other, throwing each other around. It's like sort of like mud wrestling down there.
Warren Sapp.
Gain is 3.
Hadn't been double teamed that often, not that much of a special attack, but he has been effective.
You know, Tom, but he's breathing very heavily, and that was one of Nebraska's game plans. They thought they could wear him down.
Delay of game called against the Cornhuskers. That is a costly penalty. Instead of 3rd and 2, and they can use that powerful offensive line and running game, now they'll face a 3rd and 7.
Boy, what a difference for this offense. Tom Osborne cannot believe it. He's thinking about that tombstone again after that sort of penalty. Really no excuse whatsoever. Sometimes it's difficult to shuttle those plays in when you're down around the goal line, but they're standing right at midfield.
So now it's 3rd and 7 from the 38. Shovel pass. Phillips can't get it. Is it a forward pass? It should be an incomplete pass.
Behringer's pass is incomplete.
Warren Sapp disrupted it like he did the last time they tried that. They're 0 for 2 on that play, thanks to that man.
Let's see if we can read lips. I think he's saying, I told you about that one the last time you tried to run it. What do you do with this guy? They pull around, they trap in behind him. He gets the quarterback and the ball and the running back and everybody else. And Man, oh man, oh man. What do you think? I think Jacksonville or Carolina might be interested in this guy?
If they're watching. Erstad's punt, a good high punt. German, fair catch. Fumbled the football, and apparently he got it back. He did get it back. Miami ball. 47-yard boot by Darren Erstad.
Jamie German really struggling to catch the football in these punts.
German recovers his own
fumble. It has been not only a circus at halftime, but for these two respective punt returners.
Well, it's the powerful show that has the critics raving, viewers watching in record numbers. Tomorrow night, NBC will show you how it all began. ER, a special 2-hour movie event, tomorrow at 9, 8 Central, here on NBC. Zev Lumelski, the left tackle of the Canes, out. Brown is in. Quick pass, complete. German. Short gain on the play, spun down by Dumas and Williams.
Williams on the coverage for Nebraska.
You know, Zev Lumelski, the guy out of the game now, an interesting story. Came over from Russia and spent a little time, moved to Israel at age 3, and then on to West Germany, finally into the United States. His mother used to take him in the Russian queues and try to get a few extra eggs, because the more bodies you had, the more eggs you got.
That's a body.
Plenty of eggs in it.
Costa's pass, incomplete. Diving attempt made by Trent Jones. He couldn't come up with it. He was covered again by the linebacker Ed Stewart. The matchup they wanted, but the pass off target.
3rd and 7 from the Miami 13.
Costa just off target, but when you get down on this end of the field, as a quarterback, you tend to miss wide as opposed to short, because you don't want to have someone cutting in, making the interception, and getting the cheap touchdown. This is a tremendously big play in the ball game, though, for Nebraska's defense. They need to get the ball back for their offense.
Meanwhile, Osborne thinking ahead, talking to his quarterback. That pass complete. Wimberly made the catch, and it's a Miami first down to the 25-yard line. Ellis and Moss the tackle, but it gained 13 yards to Wimberly, who dropped one earlier. Sure hands this time on the sophomore from Memphis.
And now, instead of the pressure and the man coverage, Nebraska comes back with a zone and a 4-man rush. Nice job there by Frank Costa, recognizing the difference. You see the lack of pressure, and then simply finding the hole in the zone.
Warren Sapp applauding the offense. Done everything tonight. James Stewart, the lone running back, gets the handoff from Costa. Ran into his own blocker and can't turn the corner. The pursuit catches up, led by Dumas and Ellis, to bump him out of bounds.
Boy, for Tom Osborne, you just have to wonder about his feelings and emotions. He wants so badly to win that national championship. A guy who grew up during the Depression. His parents actually had to put off getting married for a couple of 3 years because they just simply didn't have enough money. His dad went off to World War II and didn't have to. He couldn't get drafted. He was too old for that, so he volunteered and spent 5 years overseas fighting in World War II, and all Tom Osborne ever wanted to do growing up was just please his father.
Between the ages of 5 and 10, his dad was overseas. He said he really didn't know his father that well when he returned from the war. Costa's pass complete to Chris T. Jones. To the 35-yard line. He'll be about a yard short of the first down, apparently, as Baron Miles hit him hard.
You know, one of the interesting things about this Miami offense, nice catch there. I think that kid's super. Chris T. Jones can make some tough catches, and Frank Costa's taking his shots as well. One of the things about this Miami offense is they never get in. Costa was down, but he's now back up. They never get in third and short situations. I mean, they just strictly are a big play team. They're going to continue to take their shots, and right now those shots are working.
As you see, it was enough for a first down.
I really like this Frank Costa. I mean, you got to be happy for the kid. He was totally broken a year ago. His spirit was absolutely gone. Losing 20 pounds. He told us he got in the car one night. He couldn't sleep. Drove, almost made it to Orlando, which is like 4 hours away, and more or less just said, you know, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not listening to talk radio. I'm not reading the newspapers anymore. I don't care what anybody says about me. I'm just going out and doing my job.
Got his degree in August in business management, now working on his master's degree. He's going to pursue pro football. If that doesn't work, he'll go back to grad school, and he's mad now because he's had to burn another timeout with the linemen shifting from one side to the other side and unable to get in the proper formation. It gives us a chance to visit with John Dockery.
You know, Tom, there's a lot of confusion on the sidelines regarding the offensive line. I know you and Chris have noticed it, but Curlin Blaze, the freshman, number 79, is playing at the tackles. They're swapping Perry and Blaze, and they actually benched Zev Lumelski for poor play, and part of it was the safety. So the offensive line for Miami right now is in disarray, and you saw it there as they couldn't get settled, and Costa had to call a timeout. So they have problems on offense.
Dennis Erickson questioning, think. And you know, we told you at the start of the game that Miami flops its line weak side, strong side, and apparently that was the mix-up there. You saw them trying to change positions in the line.
And then all of a sudden you substitute one guy for another, and so the right tackle is now playing the left tackle, and all of a sudden he says strong, he says, okay, I'm supposed to go weak, or I'm supposed to go strong, and the other guy goes strong and he goes weak, and then you call a timeout.
Curlin Blaze is number 79. He's the freshman from Orlando, and Lumelski has taken a seat. As Doc said, apparently the result of that sack the last time Miami had the ball in the end zone for a safety.
Talking with the coaching staff from Miami, they were really hoping, the comment that was made to me is, I hope Curlin Blaze doesn't have to play in this one. Well, too late for that. He's in there.
First down, ball at the 36. Miami leads 17-9. In around to Harris. Looked like it might develop into something big, but then at only 5 or 6 yards, smelled out by Tony Veland as Harris came, I believe, from a wing position to the right on the reverse.
You know, it's great fun talking with Jonathan Harris. He's a guy that just tremendous enthusiasm, really loves playing the game of football. And he said that the guys that convinced him to come here, he's out of Texas, were Michael Irvin and Brian Blades. He said, we're a family. If you come to Miami, you're family. After the season, after the pro season, we're going to come back. We're going to help you learn routes. We're going to help you make that step on into the next level in professional football.
Costa awaits the snap on the 7th play of the drive. Stewart got around the corner and has another first down. Canes continue to move the football. Phil Ellis knocked out of bounds. Well, the family atmosphere is something that the Miami players are proud of, and Chris T. Jones said when Washington ended that 58-game winning streak here at the Orange Bowl, he was ashamed. He had to look at the former players and catch their look. My class is the one which lost the streak. I have to live with that. That was his reaction to Washington beating them after they had won 58 in a row here at the Orange Bowl.
And he's the guy that keeps all those freshman and sophomore receivers calm. He said, a lot of those guys, they run around, their hands shake, their knees knocking. It's my job just to get them on the field sometimes.
Ball resting on the midfield stripe. Fake the reverse. Costa's pass short of Stewart as he was feeling the pressure from Jason Pesterfield.
How many times have we seen Frank Costa have to pick himself up tonight? Nice job there by Pesterfield, just splitting through there. A walk-on, a guy that didn't have a scholarship when he showed up in Nebraska, but was able to prove to Tom Osborne that he was worthy of wearing those white helmets and the traditional red uniforms.
And the senior from Pauls Valley, Oklahoma, graduated last month with a 3.12 in marketing.
Dumb guy. Well, maybe that guy just jumped.
Ellis tackling Stewart for a loss. No flags. It looked like Nebraska was offside and no penalty markers.
Well, that was a blown call. I believe it was Jason Pesterfield again. I'd say that's offside. Pretty easy call. Don't know exactly how they missed that one.
Fat and nasty in the proper place there.
Can you steal your shirt?
If I ate as much as you do, I would weigh up there. Just short of midfield now is Costa. They're ready for it that time. The pass complete to Green, and Miles hit him immediately.
Complete to Green. Miles on the coverage for Nebraska.
Flanker screen once again, and Baron Miles has seen enough of this one. This time, as soon as he sees the inward motion, he broke immediately for the football and smelled that one out in the backfield.
And there Miles lining up to try to get a piece of this punt, and they were close. The ball will bounce. Moss lets it roll. It rolls all the way to the 6-yard line. The Miami fans and Coach Dennis Erickson wanted a roughing the kicker penalty. And the fans, the partisan Miami fans, let their feelings be known.
That was very close indeed to a roughing the kicker. It was a good fake that time. That was not even close, like I said, to being roughing the kicker. Baron Miles just went right underneath and whoop.
Never touched him. Nope. A flop that would do the NBA proud on one of those take the charge calls. Well, Miles still is not connected tonight. Pounded up the middle. Pretty good yardage for Corey Schlesinger. Tackle made by Corbin Francis.
Yeah, you try to cover so many different things with this Nebraska running game and the way their offense is run, and a lot of different motion and fakes, and sometimes the one you forget to cover is the first option, that fullback just popping right up the middle.
Osborne is focused now, but will he miss another chance for a national championship? The 4th time he's played for one. Phillips with a blocker. Made a nice cut back. He has a Nebraska first down. He's across the 20-yard line. Tripped up by C.J. Richardson, the All-American defensive back for the Hurricanes.
Lawrence Phillips is obviously the leading rusher this year on Nebraska's team. Second best rushing season this year in Nebraska history. Only Mike Rozier with a better season in 1983. Rozier over 2,000 yards.
Less than 4 minutes left, third quarter. 17-9 Miami. Play action fake. Behringer. Wide open man is Abdul Muhammad. He makes the catch, and he has a Nebraska first down and covered 16 yards. The senior from Compton, California, the Huskers' leading receiver.
And Abdul Muhammad last year in the Orange Bowl against FSU was hit in the stomach with a helmet, cracked 2 ribs, one of which pierced his liver. If that wasn't enough, he still has a bullet lodged in his backside, the result of a drive-by shooting. And Tom Osborne says he is the toughest guy in Nebraska football history.
Heavily recruited by the University of Miami. Chose Nebraska instead. No gain that time for Phillips. Met at the line of scrimmage, might have lost a yard. And it was Warren Sapp and Burgess that combined for the hit.
Lewis and Sapp on the tackle.
More misdirection needed from this Nebraska offense. Every time that they've gone with some sort of a bootleg, a waggle, a move one way, go the other, they've been successful.
Actually, it was a loss of 3 on that play, so 2nd and 13. Behringer. Time. Great catch to Muhammad. Muhammad went upstairs, and the little man, 5'9" from California, grabs it for 19 yards.
I just love to watch this kid play. I think there are some kids who just will themselves to greatness. And Abdul Muhammad is that. I watched him against Oklahoma. Every single time that Nebraska had to come up with a big play, it was that guy right there, Abdul Muhammad, making the plays, got the bullet in his backside, destroyed his liver last year. He just keeps making plays.
That was a pretty catch. Phillips hit behind the line, stumbles forward, close to the line of scrimmage. It'll be a loss of 1. Burgess got penetration. James Burgess with help from Lang to make the play.
And James Burgess was the most highly recruited linebacker in the state of Florida a couple of years ago, and he now is sort of taken over. He and Rohan Marley used to rotate that position, but of course the knee injury to Rohan, and now it has become James Burgess's position, and he's really taken advantage of his opportunity.
Canes have effectively cut off Lawrence Phillips this quarter. 6 rushes, only 10 yards, third period. Play action again. Behringer's protection breaks down, and he is ripped to the turf by Lang.
Behringer is sacked. Lang on the tackle.
8 sacks during the regular season for Lang. This year he was named the Big East Rookie of the Year. Well, I can't get over how strong these guys' hands are. I mean, all they need to do is grab jersey, and that's it. Oh.
3rd and 14. Behringer in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers. Great catch by Muhammad again. The big play man is close to a first down. 15 yards. It should be enough for the first. It'll be close depending on the spot of the football.
Do you love him? This kid, look at making the catch over the middle, making the solid catch, and knowing immediately that he had about 5 or 6 yards to go to pick up a first down, puts his head down and drives for the first. And Brooks' mom kind of liked that one.
Close to the first. They're going to measure. Earl Little made the hit and maybe prevented the first down. We will see.
Hey, you just love to see kids that in championship events, in big games, that want the football. And that's exactly what Abdul Muhammad's all about.
And it's the passing game that's moving the ball for Nebraska, not their vaunted rushing attack. It is just short. It will be 4th down and that much. That big offensive line. Can they get you a foot?
For 15 yards. 4th and 1 for Nebraska.
So the 9th play of the drive will be upcoming, and it'll be man against man, strength against strength. Miami stacks to stop the run.
Look for Zach Wiegert, the big right tackle, winner of the Outland Trophy over at the right tackle.
Sneak. Right behind the center, Aaron Graham. Behringer sneaked it and should have enough.
Behringer on the carry.
Remember, he only needed a foot. And it is first down. Was that a sigh of relief?
You betcha. What a job, though, Brooke Behringer has done in this ball game. He took the demotion gracefully, did not complain, accepted the fact that Tommy Frazier was going to start this game at quarterback, and has come in and put his team right back in a position now to possibly tie up the ball game.
He told us, I expect to play and play well. But he still trails 17-9. Closing seconds, 3rd quarter. Behringer sets, lofts it for Phillips.
Makes the catch, dances his way to the 30-yard line. That's 7 or 8 yards before Burgess and Lewis crack him out of bounds to stop the clock at 16 seconds.
Classy throw that time by Behringer. Knew he had to get it up over the top, and I like the trust shown by Lawrence Phillips. He knew Behringer wouldn't get him killed. He's going to keep his eyes on the football. Didn't even look down the field. Most guys in that situation, in that situation, would have taken a little peek to make sure there wasn't a bullet coming for me.
Lucky you mentioned it, because I was going to. 2nd and 2. Behringer 8 of 14. Behringer is 4 for 4 on this drive. Fumble, still loose.
Fumble.
Nebraska got it back.
Nebraska has recovered.
And guess who?
Burgess saying, I've got the football. Now they say it is Miami's ball.
And Tom Osborne can't believe it.
Miami has recovered the ball.
Just never made the exchange with Clinton Shields. Childs.
Looking short, and they're rooting the ball out, it appears. And Burgess will come away with it.
It was a bad snap, Tom. Behringer never got the snap, and then he tried to hustle it up and put the ball back in Child's belly, and by then the timing of the play was blown.
10 seconds left, third quarter. Miami takes over on the turnover at their own 36. Fighting for yardage on the ground. As the third quarter will come to an end, it was Ferguson with his first carry. Behringer had his team moving before the turnover. As the third quarter comes to an end for Osborne and his quest for the national championship. He trails 17-9 in the FedEx Orange Bowl. We'll be back right after these messages from your local station.
The bobbled exchange led to the turnover. Behringer never had it and then was unable to pick it up in time to get it to Childs. And it looked like Behringer made a dive for it, but it actually ended up on his back. And then James Burgess was able to pick it up.
You see Warren Sapp keep it alive here. Watch the ball. Watch Sapp bat it right there.
Sure did, because otherwise Childs was going to get it.
Yep.
Should make the point too. That's right. And everything that makes one team happy makes another team sad. But should make the point that Nebraska uses two centers a lot. They alternate them, Aaron Graham and Bill Humphrey, and two quarterbacks. So there is no real consistent exchange between any two players.
First play of the fourth quarter. 4 wide receivers set for the Canes. 2nd and 6 from their own 40. Costa's pass. Ferguson with a diving attempt. Did he get it? Apparently so. It'll be a catch short of the first down at the 42.
Costa, again, very slow to get up, and he could plant a little wheat in that helmet.
Pass complete to Ferguson.
He's about to plant a little corn if this lead stands up for them.
He got planted on that one.
Connealy with the hit of Costa, who just now getting the dirt out of his helmet. Well, he didn't even do that.
Trying.
Play clock to 8. Going deep down the sideline. Chris T. Jones battling with Baron Miles. And incomplete.
Costa's pass intended for Jones.
What's more exciting than that? When they take it, man-to-man coverage, only 2 guys within 30 yards of the football. If Baron Miles doesn't get his head around there, that is another big play, because Chris T. Jones makes those catches. Brilliant play that time by Baron Miles.
That was Miami's first 3rd and short situation today. Costa not happy. And faced with 3rd and short, they threw deep. Oh, there we go. There it is chasing, and he kicks it out of bounds through the end zone. That'll be an illegal kick. Pruitt saw it sail 5 feet over his head and then did his best Pele imitation.
Tom, this is a huge call now by the officials down on the goal line. If that ball went out on the 1-yard line, now Nebraska's in a position. If it goes out in the end zone, it's a safety.
Right.
I mean, this is a bit, if you're a Nebraska fan now, you want that ball on the 1-yard line. And the problems continue for these long snappers.
Taylor made that snap. It was not a good one. Jeffrey Taylor, as we said, the 3rd snapper they've used this season. Backup linebacker. So for the 8th time this season, a bad snap on a punt has cost them, and 5 of those previous 7, the opponents have scored.
I mean, that's not even close. Jeffrey Taylor just snapped that one out of sight.
Do you think some hearts were in throats in Pasadena?
And now the discussion continues about where to place the ball.
As Penn State watches this play, and this could be a very crucial point of the game.
I think the ball went out in the end zone. So did Baron Miles. Now he's signaling for a safety, but really what he would rather have is the ball on the 1-yard line. So he may be working against his own cause.
Pruitt kicks it. It goes through the end zone out of bounds. A safety is the correct call.
But I think, Tom, because of the penalty, it may well, you see it go into the end zone side of that pylon. Because of the penalty, they're going to get the ball back in the field of play. In other words, they can deny the net result of the kick and take it from the spot of the foul and then march off the penalty from there.
Jeffrey Taylor, the man that snapped it. Pruitt, the man that kicked it. It looked like the World Cup instead of the National College Championship. And when it's all said and done, all sorted out, they'll spot the ball at the 4-yard line.
That's exactly what happened. Pruitt kicked the ball at the 7. The penalty is going from the spot of the foul, moving half the distance of the goal to the 4. And Pruitt can't believe it. They have not been able to get a snap. All the tremendous athletes they have at the University of Miami, and they can't find somebody to snap the football. Incredible.
So 1st and goal, Cornhuskers at the 4. Barringer still has it after the play action. For the end zone, dangerous. Was it intercepted? Yes! Earl Little. Mr. Conservative Tom Osborne, that's the criticism he's heard over the years, goes for a pass on 1st and goal. Barringer throws it up for grabs, and Little catches it in the corner of the end zone. Earl Little, the sophomore from North Miami.
Tom, that's one of those plays as a quarterback that you have to either make the throw immediately or throw the ball away. It looked like the play had a chance. Gilman was open momentarily, but then when Barringer made the decision to hang on to it, just absolutely blew it. What a break for Nebraska and a blown play by Brooke Barringer.
On the touchback, Miami gets the ball at the 20. A 1-yard run by James Stewart. Jones and Peter, the tackle. Here's the interception again.
Gilman was open momentarily when the play first started. Then Barringer tried to make something out of nothing, and that is an unbelievable interception. Almost Dwight Clark-like in the back of the end zone.
And he knows
Barringer. Tough to live with.
Nebraska has turned the ball over 3 times tonight.
You just wonder about Tom Osborne, a guy that has been criticized for being too conservative. Does that come into play in that type of situation, wanting to prove that you're not?
Costa has to run. He won't get far. It'll be a loss on the play, a sack credited to Dwayne Harris. He's the man that had the sack for the safety earlier. It'll be 3rd and long coming up for the Canes. They're not out of this yet.
And Nebraska's defense has been there. Every time they have made a mistake on the offensive side, Nebraska's defense has made up for it. They've erased it. They've done it throughout the course of this season. They need to do it again.
And Pruitt may be called on to punt again. Plenty of time for Frank Costa. Almost intercepted. There's a flag down. Phil Ellis made a diving attempt at the pickoff.
Intended for Harris.
And guard Terrell Green is arguing his case as it will be holding against
Flag is down.
the Hurricanes.
It would be 4th down if they refuse the penalty.
Great job by Nebraska's defense. Came in an emotional play, a play that can really break your back defensively. You're sitting over there, you're hyped up, you're expecting a touchdown, possible 2-point conversion to tie the game. And yet they were able to piece their emotions back together and send Miami and Frank Costa 3 and out.
So Jeffrey Taylor again will try to snap it. The last one sailed over Pruitt's head.
Drum roll, please.
This one low. Pruitt got it and got it away. Moss from the 38. And into his own man. Fumbled the football. And got it back. 40-yard punt, a 6-yard return. Nebraska narrowly averting a 4th turnover. Timeout, 12:07 left in the national championship game.
The FedEx Orange Bowl is brought to you by FedEx. For documents, packages, and freight worldwide, our most important package is yours. By Microsoft, the leader in software. Where do you want to go today? By McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today. And by Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of 1995 Lincoln and Mercury automobiles.
Shot of an Orange Bowl record crowd, 81,753 from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida, captained by Brew Marshall. Our cameraman is Bob Rosedale. Brooke Behringer, last possession, threw the costly interception in the end zone, and he's on the sideline as the Cornhuskers take over once again. The starter, Tommy Frazier, who was ineffective, is back on the field.
This is turning into a movie.
Sack. Through Frazier for a 6-yard loss.
And there's the villain if you're Nebraska. Cannot block him. Cannot block him. He lines up in the gap. He's too quick. They try to block down. They try to lead. The center forgot to come over and help. And that was, I mean, you got to at least try to get a hand on him somehow. I don't think the Nebraska offense can afford to run any more option. This Miami defense just too quick.
11 and a half minutes left in Nebraska's national championship quest. Play action fake. Tommy Frazier whips it across the middle, complete, short of the first down. Diving catch made by Abdul Muhammad. If in doubt, go to Muhammad.
And Tom, don't forget what Tommy Frazier did at the end of the Orange Bowl last year when he drove the Cornhuskers and gave them a chance for that game-winning field goal. He is a guy capable of throwing the football, and he seems to do his best throwing right here in the Orange Bowl. That ball was even tipped. Abdul Muhammad has been brilliant, just brilliant.
3rd and 3. Frazier Keats. Nowhere. Ray Lewis.
Too fast, Tom. They're too fast to run that play. An option just takes too long to develop, and Ray Lewis and James Burgess and Corwin Francis at the linebacker position, they're just too quick. I think you're going to see Brooke Behringer back in the game. Without the threat of the pass, the running game is not there. Behringer, despite making the mistake, he is the legitimate thrower. He's the guy that gives them their best opportunity.
Hurstad to punt. Oh, snap. He just got it away. German's going to let it hit.
It takes a sideways Nebraska bounce and will be downed at the 3-yard line.
What a kick.
9:52 left. Nebraska came into the game with the best rushing attack in college football, averaging 340 yards a game, held to 112 tonight by Miami's top-ranked defense. However, they have gained a total of 203 yards, close to what Miami allows in a game.
Sometimes numbers lie and sometimes they don't. This is a Miami defense that boy, they just don't give up any points or yards. So difficult to play against this Hurricane D.
Costa and company backed up to their own 4. Stewart maybe lost a yard or 2. Great defensive play made by Doug Coleman, a backup linebacker.
I'll tell you what, Doug Coleman just shot the gap on this one and made a huge hit on Stewart. We talked about the speed of Miami, but really Nebraska has reshaped their defense. This is a defense that took their dime defense with 6 defensive backs and made it their base defense. They found that they could stop the run pretty well in there with those bigger defensive backs and speed in college football. Miami's been beating Nebraska for years with it. Nebraska tried a little of their own.
Stewart across the 5 to about the 7. Coleman again makes the tackle with help from Ed Stewart.
Does Nebraska's defense have another play? Those guys have been forced out on the field and forced to make big plays, but when your punt team backs a team up like that inside the 5-yard line, imperative that you go 3 and out. There's so few options offensively, especially when you're already sitting on an 8-point lead. You don't want to do anything crazy.
3rd and 6. 3 wides to the bottom of your screen. Costa's pass to Chris T. Jones, incomplete. Broken up by Baron Miles, who hit Jones as the ball arrived, and Costa again pays the price.
Miles on the coverage for Nebraska.
Thought Jones had a chance for this one.
6 from the Miami 8.
Need to make that catch, especially on 3rd down. Baron Miles around the play again. And Nebraska's offense, and Tom Osborne gets one more shot, and Joe Paterno takes another deep breath.
Threw it in his own end zone to punt. This can be an adventure. Ina is snapping this one, and it's right on target. Jay Ina with a long snap. Moss got away from the initial rush, driven back on a tough hit at the 40-yard line. A 5-yard return after a 37-yard punt. Frazier, it looks like he's coming back in, trying to lead the Nebraska comeback.
Next Saturday at noon Eastern, the stakes rise in the AFC playoff race. Eric Metcalf and the Cleveland Browns take on their Central Division rivals, the AFC's top-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers. Then next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins battle Natron Means and the San Diego Chargers. The AFC divisional playoffs next weekend on NBC.
High drama at the FedEx Orange Bowl. Nebraska has done nothing its last 5 possessions. The costly one, the interception in the end zone when they had 1st and goal at the 4.
1st and 10.
And the Cornhuskers trailing by 8 need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie. And with 8:11 left, a tie could be as costly as a loss if Penn State wins tomorrow for the national championship voting. Lawrence Phillips breaking tackles to the 20 with a cutback to the 15-yard line. Gain of 25 before he's chased down by Davis and Francis.
That's one of the few times we've seen the Cornhuskers run the option and pitch the football. Tommy Frazier has been running it. That time Rohan Marley overran the play, tried to come back and make an arm tackle, could not. And now you're getting a little bit of a taste of what Tommy Frazier can do. The guy that started as a freshman for the Cornhuskers, Tom Osborne, said he does not feel pressure.
And Phillips up to 90 yards rushing. Schlesinger. Touchdown.
And the Cornhuskers will go for two. They trail 17-15. Full house backfield. Frazier will throw. It's good. Two-point conversion. Eric Alford made the catch. Game tied at 17.
And redemption for Tommy Frazier.
And a smile for Brooke Berringer.
And hope for Tom Osborne. They have been forgetting about Schlesinger throughout the game. They were playing the option. And then Tommy Frazier. He can't throw. He can't throw. It's tied.
And a spring suddenly back in the step of Coach Tom Osborne. English didn't work.
And we're sorry we can't give you Joe Paterno's reaction.
Well, 10 years ago in the 50th Orange Bowl Classic, Nebraska trailed Miami 31-30 after scoring a touchdown with 48 seconds left to play. Tom Osborne went for the win. Two-point conversion knocked away by Miami, and the Canes came away with their first national championship.
Oh boy, here we go.
In the long history of the Orange Bowl, there has never been a tie.
And you notice how young Tom Osborne looked in that initial shot. A few of those wrinkles created by those lost opportunities in the Orange Bowl.
And we repeat, a tie could cost Nebraska the title if Penn State wins tomorrow in the Rose Bowl. Erstad's kick reaches the end zone. Well, Dennis Erickson, the Miami coach, is a Tom Osborne fan. And if he weren't playing Coach Osborne in the Orange Bowl, he would probably be rooting for him.
Obviously, you're in there to win, but you're also in there to help players, and winning the national championship isn't always the answer. We've been fortunate to have that happen, and they just haven't been. But what he's done for college football, what he's done for his athletes at Nebraska says enough about what Tom Osborne and college football is all about.
Amen.
17-17. Miami's last three possessions have resulted in punts. Stewart tackled at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he fell forward for a yard. Dante Jones hit him first.
And there's Ed Stewart, who didn't want to be moved to linebacker. He was a strong safety, and he was upset when they put him up there. He said, guys, block me from all angles. I got the tight end, I got the tackle, I got the guard, I got the back, I got the wide receiver cracking. All he is one of the top three linebackers in the country now.
Approaching the 7-minute mark. Number 1, Nebraska. Number 3, Miami, tied at 17. Before a record Orange Bowl crowd. Fake it. Costa going downfield, deep down the sideline. Chris T. Jones and Miles battling, and it's incomplete. That has been an ongoing war all night down that sideline. Chris T. Jones and Baron Miles.
And what would be better for Baron Miles on his birthday than to win a national championship? Chris T. Jones with a play, with a chance. But Baron Miles, after a slow start to this ball game, has just shown tremendous heart here tonight. He's been out there one-on-one the entire ball game. He's biting and scratching. He's not that fast. He can't jump that high, but he keeps making plays.
And what about the Nebraska defense? Miami still does not have a first down this quarter. 3rd and 9. Just got it off. Costa deep, wide open, can't get there. Taz Johnson was all by himself, and Costa, with the rush bearing down, overshot him.
Tyrone Williams is going to get confused on the play number 8. There's nobody in that whole deep half of the field. A complete lone coverage. Maybe this is Tom Osborne's year. You catch a break like that, maybe you do have a chance.
So here's another punt for the 4th time in a row. The Miami drive is 3 and out. Makes a good Miami bounce. That was touched back at about the 42-yard line. That's where it'll be spotted, a 38-yard punt. Miles came close to a block here.
Aaron Miles is just missing. Look at the quickness.
Oh. 6:28 left as the Huskers continue their drive.
Tom Osborne, a man of great faith. He says everyone has faith in something. Some have faith in money or prestige or winning games, and he says, sure, it hurts to lose, but winning and losing is not the most important thing. And some people think that I don't care because I have that attitude. He says, I do care, but I just have my priorities in life.
He said, I'm often misunderstood because of that. His team has the ball in a tie game. First down at the 42. Phillips is in trouble. Still fighting for yardage and perhaps got back to the line of scrimmage.
Ball carrier for Nebraska.
Ray Lewis, Kenny Holmes, many others were all over Lawrence Phillips.
Tom, you just have to appreciate the effort of these players out here tonight. I mean, these are just two great football teams, and you saw at that time Lawrence Phillips giving it everything he had. He was stopped in the backfield. He fought his way back to the line of scrimmage. I mean, it is now just a time to suck it up and play for 6 minutes and try and win a national championship.
Frazier. Catch made. Good catch by Reggie Ball, who went downstairs and caught it right off the grass. His first reception of the night.
Reggie Ball, another one of those walk-ons. People want to come to Nebraska. They want to play for Tom Osborne. And boy, would they love to win a national championship for that man tonight.
5:15 left. 17-17. Huskers facing a 3rd and 3.
And I don't think this is 4-down territory. Not yet.
Option. Frazier keeps. Cuts up. He's got the first down. He's got more than that. He's spun down at the 28-yard line. C.J. Richardson caught Frazier from behind, but it went for 25 yards.
There's the Tommy Frazier we saw at the beginning of the season, running the option. The last time he pitched it, this time he fakes it. Watch the running ability. You have to be happy for the young man. He's fighting his way back from that blood clot. Just a horrible season for him. He wanted to come back, get a medical red shirt. They wouldn't let him. This is it. This is his opportunity.
And he's from Bradenton, Florida. How sweet would that be? Barrier managing a smile. He did a good job when he was in there for the most part. Phillips spinning to the 20-yard line. That's a pretty good gain. That's about 6 or 7 yards, covered by C.J. Richardson, and the big hogs up front starting to wear down the defense of Miami.
And Miami does not substitute much on that defensive line.
Gain of 7.
Look at Schlesinger come in there. He's made some big runs and some huge blocks.
Let's go to John Dockery.
You know, Chris, you hit the nail on the head. I watched the Miami defensive line in the before they got back on the field. They've been on the field the whole 4th quarter. They were exhausted because of lack of substitution. Of course, Pat Riley, their great defensive tackle, is out of this game, and they haven't been able to substitute. They're exhausted.
Frazier hands to Phillips. Can't get a block.
ridden down at the 20-no gain. Ray Lewis made the play once again.
Lewis on the tackle.
And Tom, they're right at the range now where they have to make a decision about their field goal kicker. Tom Sealer is the short kicker. He is going to kick anything 40 yards or shorter. So right now, Tom Sealer is the man. He gets the ball up very quickly. Did not have a particularly good pregame warm-up. I watched him kick. He was missing a lot of kicks in the pregame.
Erstad is the long field goal kicker. But it's 3rd and 3, and Osborne would like to convert here and not have to worry about a kick. And Frazier takes a timeout. That's the first by Nebraska in this second half. This game has been as advertised. It began with a 44-yard, seasons-long for Pruitt that put Miami up 3-0. Then it was 10-0 Miami as Costa hit Trent Jones with a 35-yard TD pass, capping a 97-yard drive. Second quarter, first Nebraska score engineered by Brooke Behringer, who hit Mark Gilman with a 19-yard TD pass. In the third quarter, Costa 44 yards to Jonathan Harris to put the Canes back up by 10. Then Dwayne Harris sacking Costa in the end zone for a safety to make it 17-9. And then Corey Schlesinger, the 15-yard ramble, and the 2-point conversion tied it at 17.
And Tom, don't forget, because of some of the earlier mistakes by that Miami offense, Miami only has 1 timeout left. So when you look at this Miami defense, they have to make a play now. Wow, look at that.
The Nebraska defense has done the job here in the fourth quarter, holding the quick strike Miami offense to minus yardage.
And Nebraska really has been their worst enemy in this ball game. Their 2 longest drives of 49 and 64 yards both ended in turnovers, and then of course the interception by Behringer when they got the ball on the 4-yard line. Here they are with yet another opportunity.
Third and 3. Frazier cuts up. First down, Nebraska. Rohan Marley covered him at the 14, but Osborne still has what could be a national championship drive percolating.
And how about Tom Osborne? He has shown the courage to not only start Tommy Frazier, but then to bring in Behringer, give his team a lift, and then when it seemed very natural to let Behringer continue to play, made another gutsy call, brought Frazier back in, and now he has this Cornhusker offense on the move.
Less than 3 minutes remaining. Nebraska already in field goal range. See ya. Schlesinger has another touchdown. Schlesinger broke free and took it in for the score.
Smile, Tom.
For the extra point. He got it. The Nebraska team has owned the fourth quarter. Corey Schlesinger has scored twice in this quarter, and Erickson's offense has been in reverse. Fatigue perhaps playing a part here on the Miami defense as Schlesinger rambles in for his second touchdown in this period.
The quick hitter right up the middle. Frazier such a threat. They make it a trap block on it. Good blocking down the field by Muhammad. And Schlesinger is the unsung hero of this game. Not only with his blocking, but every time they've needed a big first down, when they needed a big play, Schlesinger has come up with it, and he was not going to be held out of that end zone.
The senior from Duncan, Nebraska, has given the Huskers their first lead of the game. And what about the blocking for Nebraska? They had people flat on their backs, the big offensive line, and even the wide receivers getting in on the act that time. And the pounding by the big guys up front taking its toll on Miami in this fourth quarter.
And you go all the way back to what we talked about at the beginning of the game. Zach Wiegert, the Outland Trophy winner, made a simple statement. He said, we want to go one-on-one, man-to-man against these guys for 4 quarters and just find out who really is the better man.
2 minutes and 46 seconds separate Tom Osborne from his first national championship. And don't kid yourself for a moment. These Nebraska players would love to be the class that gives it to him.
But this Miami offense still has something to say. We've seen the big plays all night, and that's why Tom Osborne hasn't broken into a smile yet.
Erstad's kick taken a yard deep. Shipman gets across the 15 to the 17-yard line. Mike Roberts, Greg Lindstrom with the tackle for the Nebraska special teams. And Costa has gotten nothing done this quarter against the Nebraska defense.
One of the things that happened, Tom, was that Nebraska got a little more conservative defensively. They quit playing so much man-free coverage, in which put all that pressure on the cornerbacks. And don't forget about the blown play, the blown coverage, where Miami had a chance to go about 65 yards. Frank Costa missed the pass.
2:42 left. Haynes 4 wide. Diving catch made. Marcus Wimberly. Clock continues to run. Short of the first down, it was a gain of only 4 or 5 yards.
1 timeout remains for Miami. You are willing to give up those short passes, but you don't want to get into a prevent mode. This Nebraska defense has been pounding on this Miami offense. Don't play it any differently.
Costa got away and then is taken down. Terry Connealy with a sack.
Connealy on the tackle.
Timeout taken with 2 minutes left. Tom Osborne's Cornhuskers leading 24-17. And over the years, the Orange Bowl has not been kind to that man.
Timeout.
Harry Tuttle, touchdown Clemson. And Clemson wins the national championship of college football.
Turner Gill rolling to his right for Nebraska. Throws, knocked down. The Hurricanes have knocked the ball down. They will win and hang on for the national championship.
Championship. And he hooked and left. Florida State wins.
The chiseled features of Tom Osborne now just 2 minutes away from that elusive national title.
And Tom, throughout all those losses, the man has not changed one iota.
Miami led 17-7 after taking the kickoff in the third quarter and driving it all the way down the field. Since that time, the Huskers have controlled it. Costa buried. Jones and Connealy and Costa slow getting up. He has taken a beating tonight.
Harris and Connealy on the sack.
Wayne Harris, Terry Keneally, Dante Jones. We talked about the Miami defense getting tired. Now this Miami offense is getting overwhelmed. And it comes down to one last play for Tom Osborne. One play for a national championship.
4th and 19 from the Miami 9.
Costa deep downfield, up for grabs, intercepted. Kareem Moss. The sentimental favorite this year. It's Tom Osborne, and this should do it. Batted in the air by Moss, who cradles it. And now, with Miami out of timeouts, the Cornhuskers, who held Miami this quarter with no first downs, will go on to win. It's just a matter of time now. And Tom Osborne, who so much wanted to please his dad that he took up athletics, finally has his national championship, and somewhere his dad has to be smiling. I see a lot of Tom Osborne in the words of Longfellow, who wrote, "Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait." For 22 years he labored and waited, and now the moment is his. Let's go to John Dockery with the national champion coach, Tom Osborne.
You finally got it after a long time. Coach, you finally got it after a long time coming. What does it mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. I'm really proud of the players. Played a great game, light of heart.
You've come close. Coach, you've come close many times. Is it all more sweeter now?
Well, it's enjoyable. Let's put it that way.
Did you somehow feel that this was your year coming into the game?
I thought in the fourth quarter we'd be the best team, and we were. That's great.
What was the difference today?
Well, I think just we were probably in good condition, maybe a little stronger physically in the fourth quarter. Miami has a great team. I got to get in.
Congratulations, Coach. A terrific victory.
Thank you.
Tommy, back to you.
Okay, John. Tom Osborne, vintage Tom Osborne, gracious in victory as he always has been in defeat. Nebraska earns a national championship with a tough win over Miami in the Orange Bowl. Final score 24-17. Bob Costas.
All right, Tom and Chris and John Dockery. And a thought here about Joe Paterno and what must be going through his mind as he watches tonight's game unfold in Pasadena. He has won national titles, of course, before with the Nittany Lions, but 3 times before he has gone through a season undefeated and yet uncrowned as national champion. And in the absence of a playoff system, it will happen again. Even if they beat Oregon as expected tomorrow in the Rose Bowl, they'll wind up number 2 because it has finally happened for Nebraska. In another marvelous and memorable contest at the Orange Bowl, they've finally done it. 3 times now, Nebraska coach Tom Osborne has brought an unbeaten, untied, number 1 ranked team to this game. Again, his reputation for losing here ringing in his ears. Now he's trying to get the water out of his ears. He has borne all of it through the years with a dignified, self-effacing manner, and now his great coaching resume is complete. While those of us in network television aren't supposed to root, I think we can allow ourselves a chance to smile and some words of appreciation for a man who has studiously avoided self-aggrandizement in an age all too devoted to style over substance. As we leave you now, try to imagine what it must be like right now in Nebraska, where there are no major professional sports teams and no other major university within its borders. And in Lincoln now, and all across the Nebraska plains, this first national title in a generation is a wonderful way to start this new year, and a wonderful and crowning moment in the career of Tom Osborne. Nebraska national champs, 24-17. Now stay tuned for your local news, except on the West Coast, where it will be seen at its regular time. A reminder, join us tomorrow on NBC Sports for more bowl action. It starts at 1 o'clock Eastern with the Mobile Cotton Bowl, USC and Texas Tech. Then at 4:30 Eastern, the IBM OS2 Fiesta Bowl with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against Colorado and Heisman Trophy winner Rashaan Salam. That's all tomorrow here on NBC Sports. Again, for Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery, and all the men and women who put in their efforts tonight at the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are the national champs, and for all of us at NBC Sports, so long from the Orange Bowl.
In a new world, a new standard of excellence, NBC Sports.